Let me see if we can take care of that real quick. Okay. Okay, hey everybody. Yes, we are live here on STG Weekly, or rather on Twitch.tv with STG Weekly, episode 200. Yeah, we're actually going to be doing Pink Sweets for this one. Pretty crazy. Yeah, and you heard Icarus there. Icarus going to be joining on commentary with me.
Good evening, everyone. How are you doing? It's been a while.
Yeah, so this should be pretty cool. Unfortunately, we had some technical difficulties at the last bit here, but we may have Plasmo chiming in the chat. He's going to be commenting as well because we're actually going to be watching his replay for this episode. The majority of it will be his replay, and that's just because, well, he plays on the arcade board, which is pretty sweet, and he's got a really high scoring run. So this will allow us to Icarus and I to talk about the high scoring strategies and stuff that are used, and this will allow you guys to see the actual PCB footage because, as some people may know, well, the arcade board does have a lot more slowdown than the 360 version, so it's kind of cool to see that. Yeah, and then so among after we'll watch a Lace scoring run for Plasmo's high scoring run, as well as talking in general about how the game works as well. Yeah, cave game here, but you have like the programming by Shinobu Yagawa, as we know, does like Balgrega and the Backgrade, the Batrider, and all that stuff. But this game, Pink Sweets, is kind of a spiritual sequel, mechanics-wise, to Rekka, and you'll see a lot of the same mechanics. Like notably, there's one of the main mechanics of the game is a rechargeable bomb, and you'll have that in like the Famicom game on the Rekka, and the manipulatable options were also on that game as well, and some other things, and even some of the same like patterns and stuff. But the game is actually a sequel to Ibara, which was supposed to be the spiritual sequel to like Balgarega, with like the craziness, and yeah, like Pink Sweets is a pretty different game from Ibara. It's pretty unique in the cave library, and we did actually cover this game on a previous SCG Weekly episode, but just the arrange mode, as I recall. So there's really a lot to talk about with this game because it's got actually pretty deep scoring with a variety of characters and various things here that we'll be getting into for the game. But yeah, pretty insane, and yeah, like, you know, it came out in 2006, and I kind of consider that like pretty cool era of cave, because you have like Mushimi-sama basically getting really popular and all that stuff. But of course, since it is the Pink Sweets episode, you know, Icarus and I can rant on a lot about this game. You know, it is a pretty long game, but so we'll get into the replay pretty quick here. But yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff to like just rant about.
Oh yes,
basically,
there's quite a lot to rant about. Yeah, I mean, I could go on for ages with this game. This game's actually, like you said, it's very deep scoring, but for the longest time, a lot of people didn't really understand how the scoring worked. So a lot of players back then used to play it very similar to how you would play a lot of his previous arcade games, like, you know, Garaga, etc., by trying to rank manage. And finding that, you know, the game wasn't really that interesting when you played it that way. It was only after, like, there was a Japanese player, I think it was Yosuke, if I remember correctly, who started streaming a lot of his Xbox 360 runs, and in particular high rank runs, which is where I started to learn how to, you know, play high rank. And that's when, you know, we started to actually figure out that actually scoring is very deep in this. There's a lot of, you know, bullet cancelling that you need to do. There's a lot of grazing that we've recently discovered through all the endeavors of Aquas, which is actually really cool as well. So you play this very similar to how you would play, I don't know, something like a Toho, for example, which is very graze-centric. But then you've also got the standard meddling as well. Meddling, as usual with Yagawa games, goes up from 100 up to 10,000. But unlike a lot of his previous arcade games, the medals just don't drop off the screen in a straight line. These ones actually weave in a sine pattern, very similar to how Rekka usually does its medals. which would usually be fairly easy to work with, except that when you die in this game, your animation takes like 20 years. So medals that look like they're particularly safe to pick up may just fly off the screen while you're busy exploding. So this game is actually quite difficult. The other thing about this game as well is that the extends are extremely difficult to get a hold of because a lot of the extends are gained by what we call the ZAN counter system. The ZAN counter system actually starts at like 2,500 and is decreased by shooting a variety of things with your main shot, like so enemies, destructible bullets, missiles, things like that. But it's actually increased by using a bomb, and it doesn't change at all if you destroy something with your options. So if you actually want to get extra lives in this game, you kind of need to use your shot a lot, which sort of runs counter to how you would use your Rosecracker, the bomb. But a lot of the Rosecracker usage in this game is somewhat defensive for some stages and somewhat scoring in others. So there's going to be a variety of strategies that you'll be employing in these runs here. And Aquas and Plasmo have been pushing this game really, really hard and been doing really, really well in it. So a lot of the strategies are going to be pretty fun to watch. So you'll be seeing some very interesting things going on in this.
Yeah, it's kind of the cool thing about this game because, you do use a lot of different ways to get score from a few different things. And yeah, Graze does actually get you like a good amount of score, and so does like shooting certain targets with your shot or killing them with your bomb. As well as we'll see, we're actually watching right now, a lot of the scoring is also timing out the bosses, but ultimately if you can get them to the very end of their timeout pattern, they'll send out a crazy amount of bullets. But they only do that if you break all the sections off, and so you have to carefully plan that. But actually we're seeing it on screen right now. It's worth a pretty big chunk of score, and then also the medaling is pretty much a good fraction of it as well. It could actually it comes from a variety of sources, not just one mechanic that's tying it all together. So
that's what makes this game quite difficult now, is that, like Aqua says, the scoring comes from so many different places. You've got tick points, of which the main replay we'll be watching, Lace, actually gets the highest amount of tick points with her lasers which pierce through enemies, and they actually linger on screen for a long time, so she gets a crap ton of tick points that way. Again, grazing is another way as well that you can do, and there's quite a lot of really interesting graze strats that have been discovered and employed to actually get some more graze. You've also got your medaling. Ideally, you want to keep your medals at maximum, like in any other Yago game. You do lose quite a lot of points from dropping your medal value because it's very, very difficult to actually get your medal value back up in this game compared to, say, Garaga, Batrider, Back Raid, and Ibara as well. All those games are like quite easy to get your medal values up. This one, you don't get that many medal drops in a quick sequence. There's maybe a couple of places you can recover. For example, in stage 4, there's a couple of places you can recover your medals if you know how to do it, which we hopefully won't see any recoveries in this run. But I'll point them out when we actually get to that stage.
Yeah, we're going to be looking at 22 to 23 million scoring replay, so we'll have to get an idea as the run goes through just where all the weight of that score actually comes from. But it really is a variety of things, and it's pretty crazy. Well, since you're talking about medals, if you drop a medal, the medal chain, like you're at least losing 180,000 points. And when you start to compare that to, just like 18 medals, or like maybe like one boss timeout, like some of the things in this game are definitely worth more than others as far as getting a lot of extra score. But we'll be seeing that as we go through the run here. We'll be watching never before seen Plasmo high scoring lace footage.
Yeah, secret replay of this. Never before released, so
if you were on the Pink Sweets Discord on Mark's on the Electric Underground Discord, then you would see he posted an unlisted video. But it's actually pretty nice because he does play on the arcade board, and some people may know that the arcade board is very expensive and just getting crazier and crazier for people to actually like play this version.
Yeah, I'm actually quite sad. I sold my PCB. I actually had it twice, and now it's tripled in price. So it is ridiculous how expensive it is now. But I could rant on about that for ages, so I'm not gonna. But yes, it's expensive now, and so is the actual port. Actually, the
Yeah.
Xbox 360 port for Pink Sweets Muchi Muchi Pork is like quite high in price now as well. Like I think it's like $300 or something for the set now. So
Yeah.
cave games are getting expensive.
But thankfully, it does work pretty decent in MAME.
Mm,
And you can play it on an Xbox 360 emulator as well, called Xenia.
yeah. Yeah,
So,
so you,
so, yeah, we have options for playing this game, I think, at this point. It's
yeah,
nice.
yeah, yeah, and it is recommended. Like, it might look pretty wacky when we actually start talking about it, but it's actually very, very intuitive once you actually sit down with it and like play it for a little bit. It's kind of fun as well though, because it's unlike any of his other games. Like, I would probably, stipulate that I was referring to all of his other arcade games because if you compare it to something like Rekka, which basically this game is, it's like Rekka 2.0. It plays very similar to that in a lot of ways. Like we're going to be seeing like extremely high rank, like, basically maxed out like as early as possible, and then just a lot of really silly strategies going throughout. So it's going to be a fun one. This one.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny just, too, if you play the game, well, you probably know, but you don't think you're gonna die because you have a route, but this game just finds a way to kill you.
Yeah, this game it's punishing,
Because
extremely punishing.
you are playing risky basically all the time because you have to charge up a bomb, which takes a lot of time, but also leaves you vulnerable
Yeah,
from like the sides, but you are protected from the front. But
yeah,
you get
it's
a lot
very
of tools, but man, like the game can
yeah,
really
it is.
screw you over because it actually just does have things you can't dodge.
Yeah, it's really punishing. I mean, it's very heavily routed, but it's also a timing based route as well because you have to basically rely on your rose cracker to be charged up at various points throughout the game. And if you accidentally cancel your charge or you mistime a rose cracker, or even if you place the rose cracker wrong, then basically you can kiss at least 2 lives goodbye because there's no way you can recover your power-ups in this. Like in a lot of Yagawa's arcade games, for example, if you die, you get most of your power-ups back in some way or form. In this game, you don't. So basically, as soon as you respawn, you are naked, and there is no way to defend yourself outside of your rose cracker, which makes recovery extremely difficult and also drops your score potential by a lot of points. So very, very punishing, this game.
Yeah, it can, but I do like that, you don't lose the bomb ability either when you die. Like, you can always, use that. And so that's why I kind of think, like, this is actually a pretty nice casual game because if you just want to, like, use the bomb a lot, I mean, nothing's really stopping you, and you will
Yeah,
be able to
yeah.
use it basically to beat, like, the first half of the game.
Yeah, I mean, Rose Cracker uses just infinite, which is quite nice. You can just charge it up and drop it as much as you want. Obviously, it does add to rank, but like I said before, if you're playing this for score, then rank is going to be at some point maxed anyway, so you might as well just get used to it.
Yeah, we
But
can
the
kind of
night-
get into the rank dynamic too when we get into the run, but
Of course.
yeah, I mean, so I could give you guys a good little basic idea of what's going on with this game, but let's just get the run started since we do got a long one to go through, and we'll elaborate more on some of the basic stuff like changing speed and some of that stuff in stage 1. So
Yeah.
let us queue up Plasmo's 22.6 million run on the arcade board, and we'll start it
So
from
we-
zero.
Cool.
So I'll count us down here on go.
Mhm.
3, 2, 1, go.
The PCB.
Yeah, it's a lot more slowdown than 360. Probably, I think it's twice as much on the arcade board. Probably.
Yep. Yeah. Right. So with Plasma and pretty much everybody else, you're going to be wanting to up your auto fire rate to 30, which is the highest. Because it basically makes your lasers fire like much faster, which increases the tick points. Ergo, you get more points that way. Plasma actually got a special power up there. He probably set it up from previous run, but to get special power up, I think he dropped, was it 4 drop power ups and then pick up the 5th?
That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, because usually you can tell when it's a special power-up because it starts, the flashing animation like doubles in speed. But you basically want special like throughout, and you don't want to lose it either. What you can see Plasmo doing here is actually kind of hilarious. He's actually got option on auto fire because whenever you press the B button, the option button, it actually increases rank by a small amount. So, like I said before, score players tend to play this at maximum rank. So you want to push rank as high as possible, and basically what you're doing here is just forcing it to be as high as possible by auto firing the option button.
Yeah, it's a good trick if you want to do that. Otherwise, you're just mashing probably speed changes.
Yeah,
or
speed
just
changes
using
also
bombs
do it as
the
well.
whole time. Would be the non-auto fire way.
Yeah, there's quite a few ways you can do it. I think that's one of the usually accepted ways of doing it. The other ways, Aquas says, optional ways you can do it as well. What he's doing here is actually starting to farm destructible objects to decrease the Zan counter so he can actually get to the next extend a little bit earlier. He's not going to get it in this stage, obviously, because he needs to hit like 2,500 objects, and this boss doesn't fire anywhere near 2,500 objects, but at least it's a start. He's also picking off some of the options as well, so he can get the metal step up a little bit higher.
Yeah, but also we see him shooting those turrets when they're at the top of the screen when they're invincible.
Yeah.
Because everything where the text starts at the top of the screen is invincible in this game, just like some other Yaguas.
Yep, common thing with Yago games is there's a dead zone sort of when they're at the top of the screen, which we do actually make some use of, because if anything's invincible up there, then you can be getting tick points before they're destroyed.
Yep,
so.
that's why Plasmo is shooting where those formations are coming out, because that lightning is scanning the screen and getting tick points, and not killing those enemies when they're up there. So, since Lace gets a lot of extra score from shooting stuff from her lasers, it's per each laser. So as long as those lasers connect, you do get about 4,000 points per full 4 lasers, I think.
Yeah, the tick points in this game add up a huge amount, so you kind of want to be looking for ways to manipulate invincibility of enemies so you can actually maximize that. This boss, though, fairly standard. You kind of want to destroy all of its destructible bits, because with bosses and mid-bosses, the more destructible bits you destroy, the angrier it gets. Ergo, the angrier it gets, the more bullets it spits out, which means you can get more points that way.
A lot of the game scoring revolves around that.
Yeah, exactly. So. There's 2 arms on this boss and the chest cannon, and then once all 3 parts are destroyed, it basically is its angriest, which means it will be getting quite a lot of points from just doing a little bit of grazing here, a little bit of cancelling there.
Yeah, by destroying all the parts there, that forced phase 2 loss.
Yeah. So when you've got your Rose Cracker charged up, that aura is actually able to absorb a number of bullet types. There are certain ones that you can't absorb, obviously missiles, for example, destructible missiles and green bullets and things, but like certain bullets like the green ones, the blue ones, these red sort of bullet shaped ones you can absorb here. So you want to try and absorb some patterns. In this case though, he's cancelling his charge so you can actually graze between those lines. You can cancel your Rose Cracker charge by changing speed, basically. Pressing shot and the option button together, A and B together.
Yeah, it's really important because there's a lot of times you don't want to damage the boss with your bomb, which is a higher DPS than your other attacks.
Yep.
By a little bit.
He's destroyed the chest cannon here, so you can see these rings are like a lot denser, and it's causing a lot of slowdown now. So we're going to be making full use of that with grazing and bullet cancelling here. But what Plasmo and Aquas and all the other high-scoring players usually tend to do is try and keep the boss alive until it starts to time out, and then kill it during its timeout. Because it's more fun that way, and plus you get more points, because when the boss times out, it actually uses basically all of its remaining attacks at once, which is usually quite funny to see, and also extremely dangerous to your run, because if you haven't actually managed the boss's health properly, it's just going to drift off the bottom of the screen and try and kill you. So that can be quite scary.
Yeah, a lot of the timeout patterns are tough to avoid.
Yeah, some of them like to mix up absorbable bullets and then the indestructible ones, which you can only use your shot to destroy. So it's like, well, you've got to do something. really high score though for a stage 1, like already 1.3.
Yeah, really good stage 1. It's about as good as it gets, I think.
1.42. So he actually timed it, like he perfectly got it with the shock hill. Like a lot of Jaguar's games actually feature the score changing depending on what you use to destroy an enemy with. In this game, some enemies, some boss parts are worth more if you destroy it either with shot or aura, with Rosecracker or some other way.
Yeah, we'll see that here too. Like those airborne enemies back there and these boats are all 2,000 points each with the bomb. So,
yep, so it'll be Plasmo will be bombing certain ones. He's also going to be trying to milk some of these missiles out here, so it'll actually be like decreasing his Zan counter again. And also,
yeah, but since Lace gets so much damage from shooting stuff, it's actually becomes a little bit better just to shoot the top of the screen where these boats are invincible, rather than just bombing them. So you do have to make some decisions about how you want to score a section in terms of that as well.
Yeah, there's a lot of optimization that's been going on. I can pretty much guess there's probably still quite a lot of optimization still needing to be done in certain parts as well as we discover more scraps.
So it's like nicer when those bigger enemies are at the top of the screen because they have a bigger surface area for you to connect your lasers, so you can just really optimize where everything comes out on the top of the screen with lace. You can just shoot it from the bottom of the screen to the top, so it's pretty convenient.
Yeah, this little boat here is an example of targets that are worth more with the Rosecracker. Those black bombs that it vomits out of its back worth more if you use your Rosecracker on them. So going to try and farm like 2 cycles worth of these for quite a lot of points.
Yeah, that's a little tricky too because if you do a frame perfect release of the bomb, you don't get your laser to come out, and you want to bomb those black bombs that were coming out. So if you don't do that, then you actually lose like I think it's like 20 or 30k really because you shoot a bunch of them. So there's also like some nice finesse with actually canceling your bombs. Yeah,
there's quite a lot of different techniques that have been used in this to maximize score. This mid-boss is a great example of how we actually handle mid-bosses or want to handle mid-bosses. So basically we've picked off all of its options and now we're just waiting for it to time out. But we actually want to use Rosecracker at certain points as well when it starts spitting out these white like homing missiles, because they're worth more if you use your Rosecracker on them. Plus, the swords that it fires are also worth some points when you Rosecracker them as well. So it's actually worth quite a lot here. I think you get, 50, 60k per phase by the look of it.
Yeah, this is worth a lot.
It's worth a lot, yeah.
So the sooner you can get those side options destroyed, the better.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to learn this as well. It actually sets you up for learning the rest of the game for scoring as well, because the same strategies apply to like some of the other mid-bosses and bosses as well. Basically, pick off all their turrets and then time them out until they start doing their timeout attack. In this case, this one we want to leave until it disappears off the bottom of the screen though, because it just constantly fires those white missiles at you as it's drifting off the bottom of the screen. Yeah. 3.1 is great.
I mean, that was like 2 million alone from the bot timing out, or was it not 2 million? 200k.
Yeah,
just
a lot of points.
Just from that happening. That one's nice because you don't have to time the kill. You just want to let that one to fall off screen.
Yeah, just let it drift off and bomb it all the way down. Lamisar Rosecrackers, I wouldn't really call it similar to the Charge Beam in R-Type. It's obviously we've called it Wrecker because basically it's the same system. Use it in exactly the same way as you would in Wrecker. This mid-boss does fire some destructible bullets, but we usually tend to kill it quite early, so we don't really get quite a lot out of it. But ideally you want to have it so that it fires destructible bullets from both of its hands at once, which will give you the most Zan counter decrease. Keeping straight here is required as well.
It doesn't hurt to get that Zan built up a bit there. No, but ultimately you'll be getting a lot of it from the stage 3 mid-boss, which we'll see next level.
Yep. So the stage 2 boss is basically farming a lot of bullets, but we're also wanting to get as many tick points as possible off these white spiky discs. because as you can see, even when we're using Lace's shot, which is pretty much the strongest one in the game, they're still not being destroyed, so we can actually get quite a lot of points off this.
Yeah, all the bombing up to this point has been actually raising the rank of this boss.
Yep.
Because the boss's health is set depending on what rank is going on when you encounter it.
Yep.
So,
so we
actually going to be shooting this boss a lot and want to get it close to timeout. And the more health it has, the more you can shoot it. And that's more points for Lace.
Yep, exactly. So, as I mentioned before, maximum rank or close to maximum rank is what we want to be throughout the entire game. Because obviously, as Aquas said, health for bosses and enemies is high, which means we get more points off them, which is always good fun. But it also increases the difficulty as well. This boss in particular can be pretty aggressive once it hits its higher rank plateaus. So you still need to be very careful with what you're doing. A little trick here, as you can see as well, is that if you've got both of your options and set them to front, you actually have a lot of defensive coverage in front of you when you've got the aura up as well, which is something that we make full use of for a lot of bosses here because it protects us from quite a wide area in front of us.
Yeah, that's really good, actually.
Yeah.
To keep in mind. Those front ones really do protect you pretty well. The hitboxes on those options is actually pretty big for blocking bullets.
Yeah, the options themselves always block bullets, but in particular we use front with the aura charge just to keep like a huge area in front of us protected. And it actually helps with a lot of this boss because it fires such wide patterns at you.
Yeah, you want to know when you can confidently move around, and having the front rose hips really helps you do that when there's a lot of bullets.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So basically phase 1 for this is just this. We're just farming the white discs as much as possible. We're going to time out phase 1 and send it into phase 2 fairly soon though, but for now we can just pick off like as much of these white discs as we can.
Yeah, you don't really want to skip that, sadly, because it's worth like 300k, which is a lot of score, so unfortunately.
Yeah. Phase 2 is quite tricky though. Like every cycle it drops this propeller bomb which spits this crazy looking pink bullet pan at you. Basically the game wants you to use Rose Cracker on it, if at all possible, but it also has other attacks as well, like it can spawn these little free-floating discs which shoot destructible bullets at you. These bullets cannot be blocked by your aura or the options, I believe, as well. So you have to use your Rose Cracker or your shot on them, and it can be kind of hard to do when you're trying to charge your Rose Cracker to destroy the propeller bomb, but then you've got all of these discs flying around shooting.
This is kind of when you're getting taught that you need to play like offense and defense with the shield.
Yeah, exactly.
And shooting like the destructible bullets.
Yeah. This boss can be extremely scary when it starts to mix up a lot of its really nasty patterns. And you also have to remember as well that rank is still going up at this point, which means that this propeller bomb actually starts getting more health as time goes on as well. It's fairly easy to destroy now, but after like maybe 8, 9, 10 cycles, the rank has probably gone up again, which means that you're not going to be able to destroy it until it reaches nearly the bottom of the screen.
Yeah,
so that can be quite scary.
Well, you can use the durability of the middle pod as your indicator of when the boss is going to time out. Once you've actually got your rank route all figured out, like how many times you want to be bombing, or how you want to be playing the run, because that is going to make a difference. But if you have the same rank every time, you'll kind of know. Like I know the fight's about to end once 2 Rose Crackers or bombs goes off, and I have to shoot it like a few times.
Yeah. So we have a lot of counters like in mind for how we actually manage health, and when timers are going to be timing out. So it can be. There's quite a lot you have to pay attention to at the highest level in this game, like so a lot of practice involved, a lot of like learning and labbing involved in order to actually get everything down.
Yeah, this is a really fun boss though. I do like this one for just the scoring aspect and how long it goes, and really sets the tone for some of the crazier shit you gotta end up doing.
Yeah. Sometimes this boss likes to fire 2 of these propeller bombs at you before it does its laser net attack.
Yeah.
I've seen that happen sometimes.
we'll see later, but we're gonna watch a high rank version of this. This is about I think 65 or 70% rank here. But at max, it'll just like do 2 in a row, and it'll do like the lasers as well, multiple times in a row.
Yeah. It gets
And
pretty
they can
scary.
do that
when
like
it-
rarely when you have like the rank lower. Enough
Yeah.
that it will surprise you.
Yeah, it does like to mix up a lot of these, so you have to be on your guard as much as possible.
And so it's
Nice
really
kill
good
there.
there.
Yep, 5 million, really good pace at the moment. Very,
Yeah,
very
that's
high.
exceptional scoring, I would say.
Yeah.
It doesn't get
Yeah.
too much better than that. So Plasmo's having just a really good early game here.
Yep. So stage 3 is where you start to see the first of the item-based extends. There are actually stage 3, stage 5, stage 7. So yeah, there's 3 stages where you actually have item-based extends in this game. They're unlocked by special conditions. In this stage, you have to have one large tank run over another large tank for it to spawn. So when we actually get to it, we'll show you the strat. But it's actually kind of tricky to do when you're trying to learn it, but there are like a lot of little different setups you can actually do to make it more consistent. And you do want to actually have that extra life as well, because like I said, this game is very punishing, and all the extra lives come in handy. Obviously, there is infinite lives as well, but we'll get into that at some other point.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yep.
so Lace is pretty nice here because the lasers are just collecting tick points for all the tanks at once. So nice little dodge there. You do have to like do some dodging occasionally in the game, and knowing when you need to is part of the battle.
Yeah. You can see as well the bullets are really, really slow, so they can actually clog up loads of the screen.
And so here's the 1-up tank.
Yep, so you destroy the treads on the first one and it stops in place, and then the second one runs it over and it spawns the item from that. That's actually a common thing because the stage 7 extend actually has the same conditions. There's actually 2 you can get in stage 7. You basically have to have one tank run over 2 tanks, which can be pretty difficult to set up actually. I think Aquas and Plasmo have a really good setup for that, so I never actually bothered to learn it. But it can be... Yeah, it's pretty good. That one, once you actually get it, actually helps a lot with stage 7, but we'll talk about that when we get there. We're coming up to probably one of the more fun mid-bosses in the game, though, the stage 3 mid-boss, for a variety of reasons.
Yeah, this mid is really difficult. Takes a lot of practice to like get into these lanes between these lasers. But yeah, you just want to destroy them as soon as possible so that you can begin this destructible bullet attack.
Yep.
And ultimately, you want to get 2 1-ups as a result of doing this boss fight. Getting one from destroying an option during the fight, and then one after.
Yep.
And so there's 4 cycles of it repeating its 2 attacks here.
Yeah.
For you to accomplish all that.
As we mentioned before, the Zan counter is actually at like 2,500, and you need to hit like 2,500 objects in order for it to tick down for an extend. This boss actually fires enough destructible bullets for you to get 2 or 2 plus, which is pretty fun actually. Obviously, the more options of the boss you destroy, the angrier it gets. But since it's destructible bullets, you can see that it's not absorbed by your aura, which does make this quite scary if you're not familiar with the right way to, misdirect and avoid the destructible bullets.
Yeah, you don't want to move too much, and you kind of want to move backwards when you're actually moving within the destructible bullets. So it's something you got to kind of get used to when you play this.
Yeah. But as you can see, all you want to do is you want to just sit to the side and shoot down as many of them as possible. And because Lace has got piercing shot, it actually makes it quite easy to do this. So Plasmo already got the extend quite early on, and he's basically driving the Zan counter up even higher for this one, for the second one, which probably will be spawning at some point after the mid-boss. And plus you're getting a lot of points for this as well, as you can see. Like every burst is like worth like 7,000, 8,000, 9,000 points, and you get a lot of points from that. And then when it disappears, it vomits all these bullets, so you bomb them, get some more points. And there's another extend.
Yeah, that's what you want. So now they have max amount of lives, which is 5 in stock, 6 if you count the one you're playing, so that's pretty nice.
Yep. Best thing about getting the life early there as well is that he's actually starting the Zan counter again, so you can probably go for like another item extend at some point soon.
That is possible, yeah.
Yep. Driving the rank up again. Just a little bit more. Ooh, stage 3 boss. This one is this one could be actually quite rough, like at maximum rank. She has quite a lot of screen filling patterns, particularly in the final phases. But at the very opening, we're just going to be sitting here and grazing. One of the new strats that Aquas and Plasmo have been employing is using the boss as a graze point because it's so big, and you use that option to absorb the purple swirly bullets because the option has a huge hitbox.
Yeah,
nice.
And you get graze there. Yeah, it's nice. I mean, that's worth like 15k if you get really close enough to the boss per cycle, and there's like 6 or 7 cycles here.
Yep.
So you just get a nice chunk of score for doing that. Actually does not work with Cosmi because their hitbox is higher up. This actually only works with Lace and a couple of the others.
Yeah. This boss phase is actually pretty good for getting your Zan counter up as well if you need to, because there's quite a lot of those destructible bullets that it fires each time. That's time out for phase 1. And this is where it actually starts getting a little bit tricky because she's going to trap you in with the wing lasers here and then fire these like rather large looking missiles from her feet, I think, from the bottom of the body. They're destructible, but you have to use your shot to destroy them, and they actually have quite a lot of health, so they can be quite scary.
Yeah, just a well-placed shot from far enough away, it tends to protect you, which is good, but one thing that actually sucks with Lace is at point blank, there's like a blind spot with her laser. So if you are too late, and there's like a missile like right in front of you, it's possible that it actually won't die. You'll die, so you have to be a little careful with Lace there, but otherwise he's just like waiting for the blue helmet on the boss here to go off screen, or it's actually above the very top bits of text.
Yeah.
If it's up there, then you can just shoot the boss for free, and it actually was right there. That's exactly what the like new strat is on this boss for Lace, which gives you well, she gets the most score out of it, but the boss is invincible when that blue helmet is above that text. So that allows you just to get a lot of extra shots that you can fill in for the damage before all 8 cycles are up. So you want to go all 8 cycles ideally to get as many chances as possible for it to stop into that parking spot. And it's actually worth a crap load of points if it stops up there like 3 or 4 times. Like look right here, you're gonna get about 20k, 30, like 40k from that.
Yeah.
So that's really good.
That option placement is actually quite smart as well, because again the options can block specific types of bullets, and if you have it at the perfect angle, you can actually like block quite a number of different types of bullet patterns from actually hitting you, and which is quite clever actually. You use it in a variety of different places.
Yeah, that reverse setup with the vertical, that's like one of the more common ways to use it to block that angle. But yeah, you are right, like you can do a lot with the options to protect you in certain situations.
Yeah,
and
also
destroy some more stuff.
Yeah, that's why dying on bosses is so detrimental to your survivability and your score, because there is basically no way you can recover your power-ups on bosses. Like, most of the bosses don't spawn items. This one does on its final phase, but it's really tricky to get like fully powered up off it, so it's not even reliable. You don't want to die at all basically on bosses if you can help it.
By the way, all the slowdown you saw on that part, that's not on the 360 version, so this version does slow down.
Yeah, the 360 version has like virtually no slowdown at all. There's like maybe 1 or 2 patterns that slows down, but it's the faster of the 2, which is why this replay is like the longer of the 2, because it's the arcade version.
It's funny, it still slows down in like the most crucial parts, which is against the snakes.
Yeah,
on the 360, but you'll get like double the amount on the board, which we'll see in the next level.
Yeah,
kind of famously hard part to run, but yeah, this boss goes on for 16 cycles doing this, and it's choosing between the bombs or like these I don't know, smaller bombs.
Yeah, and, these bombs which explode in green, like in green explosions, can be destroyed for items, but again, it's not very reliable, especially at higher rank, because they take so long to kill. The sword bombs, these ones, you can actually bomb for points. It's quite nice.
Yeah, they're 5,000 points each, so you actually get like 40k from getting a full cycle of them.
Yeah, definitely worth it. Like, you wanted to use the sword bombs as much as possible because it's better for your score. But again, as you can see, this boss can be quite scary because it's got quite a lot of wide-ranging attacks, and it likes to move around randomly as well, which doesn't always help, especially when it's using some of the nastier trap patterns like the green explosion bomb, which on some occasions it likes to sweep across the screen while it's using it and just cover the entire screen, which doesn't give you much space to work with.
Yeah, you're basically trying to determine as soon as possible if you're going to be cut off from the bottom or the top of the screen by those bombs, because then you gotta start to get a little bit more clever with how you're going to actually survive it.
Yeah.
Which is, it's pretty annoying, because you are basically, like right here, you're forced to bomb twice, so you're forced to have that good timing. So the game starts to get a little bit harder here, I think.
Yeah, you do have to pay like very close attention to how bosses and mid-bosses actually move in this game a lot more than most other games, because their movement does affect how the bullet patterns work and how much space you have to work with.
Yeah, just notice, it's not even shooting that much anymore, just the bombs. And that'll become a thing in a lot of parts of the run where it's just all bombs at this point.
Yeah. This boss will go on for a while though, which is fine though. Setting up for some graves here.
Ultimately, you can get a shot kill at the very end, but since it's 16 cycles and you're doing a lot of stuff that's hard to account for the damage, it's really difficult to actually get that. So usually it's just best to time it out and just take what you can get from the patterns and hopefully capitalize on the patterns as well properly, while also not killing it too soon.
Yeah,
so there is some counting that you end up doing with the damage.
Yeah, there's a lot of health management required. Again, it's a lot of practice and a lot of labbing in order to work out just how much damage you do on each phase and how much health is left after that. So
yeah, you can,
it takes a lot of practice.
Yeah, you can, for me, it's just like, okay, I'm just gonna attack it like 6 full lasers for this cycle, and then I'll just do that for the whole fight. So try to like break down the damage a little bit. But yeah,
I think you labbed a lot of that though, didn't you? Like you spent a lot of time practicing and just figuring all that out, which is pretty cool. Because you made it very consistent after a while. Like I don't think a lot of us who started playing this like way back when actually sat down that much to lab that much.
Yeah, well that's because we got that really nice MAME overlay that you can see HP.
Yeah,
on that overlay. That actually opened up all this damage routing in this game. Which really
that
revolves
was
around.
Extremely useful that was actually made. So I've got to thank the guys who put some time into that, actually releasing that really useful overlay. It's actually been
we'll have that available in the description. But yeah, there's the metal fountain boat.
Yeah, as we mentioned at the beginning, there's not many places you can recover medals in this game. That metal boat is actually one good place you can do it. There's a couple of setups you can learn, but the general idea is you actually need to wait for the boat to stop moving before you destroy it. And then when it stops moving and is destroyed, it basically vomits out, I think, how many? 15, 16 medals, something like that?
Yeah, it's 16.
Yeah, so it spits out quite a lot of medals. You can basically you can get your medal steps all the way back up that way, but there's 2 in the stage, but those are probably the only really useful places you can recover your medals. Also, infamous snakes, set number 1. These ones are quite tricky because they move really quickly, but what Plasmo is doing here is he's moving in a figure of 8 shape pattern, which is actually herding them towards the middle of the screen.
Yeah, this is great because this allows you to get way more of those medals, and it's like good survivability.
Yep.
So actually, that was a really clever strat.
Yeah, it's another mid-boss here as well. Again, what we want to do is we want to destroy all its options and then time it out. This one's actually the best one to learn, like for scoring to start with, if you want to actually learn how to do some of the trickier strats in this game, because this one's worth probably the most out of all of the mid-bosses, I think, if I remember correctly, when you do this. Because the timeout pattern is extremely violent, but it's also great to absorb.
Yeah, I think optimally you can get like 400k from the timeout alone.
Yeah, it's a lot of points.
Which is actually like super good.
Yeah, it's pretty fun to set up as well, because what we're actually going to be doing is we're going to time up, but we're going to sit on top of it and use the aura to cancel all the bullets, which looks pretty scary, but is extremely good. All he's doing here is he's actually just managing the amount of health this mid-boss has by grazing and then using a long distance Rose Cracker to do as little damage as possible. And you see this bullet pattern here, which slows down the entire screen. It's not fully timed out yet though because it's still alive. It's doing the laser. So he's actually doing some damage there. Now it's timed out
Yeah,
properly.
watch the score go up here. Those
Tick, 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 tick. That's great. I love
about
it.
100k per like 3 seconds.
Yep. And then he's going to follow it down a little bit and drop a rose cracker so it sits on top of it. And nicely done.
Yeah, and even better, you can time it so you kill at the bottom of the screen. So that'll actually allow you to get a lot more score.
Yeah.
Even more 100k more or so. So
Yeah.
you actually get really rewarded for doing that perfectly, which is cool.
Yeah, it's great fun to learn as well, man. It's a good way to actually understand how scoring in this game actually wants to be done.
Yeah, this is like the hardest section of the game right here because these snakes appear at random spots at the top of the screen. They also have more health than the previous set. These are the big ones, and it's just super easy to drop medals or die here, so this part really sucks. And yeah, Plasmo drop medals, which it happens most of the time. It's because like the item comes from the front of the snake, and then you end up killing a lot of them when the head goes off. The front head goes off screen, and you can actually kill them on the back with the damage. So they end up dying from hitting them with a bomb as they leave off screen, and the front part's off screen, and that's an instant metal chain drop, sadly. Yeah, that can happen in a lot of different ways, but that's a really easy way to drop metal chain there, sadly. Which sucks, because there's another metal boat here, which if you can get all the medals, it's 180k. And also, if you drop medals, it's going to be difficult to use this, more difficult to use this one to actually like, rebuild them. So it's just too much like stuff up here. There's just a wall of enemies, so we're going to see some homing enemies coming to view on the top left.
Yep. These homing missile enemies are quite awful as well. He's actually sat on top. He's getting some back, that's good at least.
So some is good, better than none. And yeah.
Oh, it's a death.
Yeah, the missiles just got through, unfortunately, there, and it can all just crumble so quickly. And now, just wants to get rapid fire. Ooh, nice. So did a backup special grab there.
Yeah, that was nice. At least we got
really good because this mid boss is really dangerous to melt, but actually worth up to 250k if you got really lucky. But I would say like 150 or 200k out of this is pretty solid. So what you can do is risk putting out a bomb and being vulnerable, and then shoot the parts of the snake that don't damage it. This boss actually has a pretty long timer, but it actually is one of the more stressful melts of the game. I died to it so many times going for this extra score.
Yeah, it moves around randomly, so you can't really plan for anything. You've just basically got to watch out for when it comes like into the screen wherever it is. And
it's really random. Like I think it might chase your position. That's maybe a little bit, but it could just be a superstition because it really is quite random.
Yeah, I think it does sometimes come towards you, but
I think it must. It must.
Yeah, its turning circle is extremely wide as well. Yeah, so it's difficult to predict. So you kind of just have to react to this one as best as you can.
Yeah, I find it's good to try to stay mid to the bottom of the screen, because at the top you can then be so far away from the bullet sources that they aren't sealed, and then you can't really block very well from behind. So that's why you don't want to be at the top.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think he probably got 150k out of that at least.
Yeah.
Wasn't paying attention.
Oh, I think he dropped his medal again though, but at least he's got his power back up to where it should be. He's lost a lot of points here though. Like Aquas mentioned earlier, you lose quite a lot of points, like nearly 200,000 just building it back up, but there's not many really good places to build it back up. So you technically end up losing way more because of that.
It does depend on where you drop them. If you can build them in a section where there's a lot of medals, or if you can't, then it's actually a waste of potential score.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. Yeah. But if you can bring it back up right away, like a 200k loss actually is not that big in the grand scheme of things.
No, because you do make a lot of it back from other sources though, so like tick points and other places you can get them back, so it's not a huge amount lost. Depending.
I'd say this boss is a little more laid back, part of the boss of the run. But yeah, phase 1, just Plasmo's just, he knows exactly how much damage he wants to do in phase 1 by, I think he likes to shoot 5 times here. And then you let those drones accumulate so you can get a little more score from shooting them.
Yeah.
And also you're building Zon as well when you do that.
Yep, which is nice because he's getting closer to the next extend, hopefully, as well, which will be a recovery. A lot of grazing here, though. It's fairly straightforward, this first phase, like pretty easy. It's the second phase where it starts to get very interesting.
Yeah, the second phase will use these gravity well attack, these blue and orange balls that push you away or pull you. And you can destroy them, but they're pretty tough to deal with because they often bring you into the boss's wide screen attacks.
Yeah. You said this game is based off Rekka, and the gravity wells are from one of the bosses in Rekka. So, those of you who've played the Famicom game, keep an eye out for a lot of patterns because there's quite a lot of nods and callbacks in that game. It's pretty fun to watch. Yeah, so these are the gravity wells. I think the white ones push you and the black ones pull you. And the combination of them can basically fling you all the way around the screen, so you have to be very careful as to what's coming up next.
Yeah, you kind of want to react to how the forces are. Right, like right here, you want to move around so you can test if you can actually move in one direction or both directions. Because if you can't move in the opposite direction, then that's a great way to get sniped by the laser.
Yeah,
and it happens.
Has some pretty. It's got some really bad attacks it can mix up with as well. Like the destructible bullet ones can be quite awful to deal with when you're being like flung around the screen by the gravity wells. Because again, you have to use your shot to destroy them, and depending on how much you're getting pushed, you could end up getting pushed into like the path of a bullet too, like this one here. So you kind of have to try and get in the lanes if you can, which is a little bit difficult when you've got wells like just manipulating the movement.
Yeah, I like to hold down and like kind of hug the back of the screen, and it tends to keep you a little bit grounded. Oh, what the heck?
Oh, yeah, that's unfortunate.
Yeah, that sucks because it looks like he had maybe a little bit of the shield up, but he wiggled like in a weird way so that the bullet didn't get blocked.
Yeah, that was unfortunate. That was not a mistake that you want. I mean, you can recover a little bit in stage 5, but ideally you don't want to because stage 5.
Yeah, so what he'll probably do is set up a special again by dropping 4 shot power-ups.
Yeah.
And then making sure to get that powered up. Otherwise, you only have 3 lasers, and you get 1/4 of your tick damage from each laser.
Yeah.
So if you're not as special, you're down a 1/4 on that potential score.
Anyways. Yeah. Luckily, we don't have to worry about using our shot for a while in stage 5 because it's all Rose Cracker in that one. So you can safely ignore like using your shot because you're not going to be using it.
Yeah, like this level just forces you to bomb basically the whole thing. Like you realize that's the best way to do it anyways. Even if the rank is a bit lower.
When you first look at it, yeah. It looks chaotic when you like first look at it, but it's actually very heavily routed, so we'll be seeing a pretty good route.
You'll take advantage a lot of like being over the big turrets to seal the lasers, and that sealing range is pretty big. Plasmo just got into it there and then pulled back.
Yeah, you absolutely need to learn how to, seal bullets on this stage because these turrets, as you can see, they're like a variety of different types that actually just cover the screen and can be very obstructive, like this one, for example. So if you can seal them off, it just means that you basically don't have to worry about their attacks getting in your way. But for the most part, there's a Rose Cracker route through this in order to maximize safety as well as destroying as much as possible for extra score. He also wants to shoot down
the silos. I think you cut out there. I think I lost it, Chris. Oh wait, you're back.
Am I?
Yeah, you're back.
All right. What happened?
I didn't hear you for like the last 10 seconds. If you want to repeat.
Oh, yeah, I was just saying that this stage actually has the towers. There's 10 of them.
Yeah, the towers.
Yeah, so you want to destroy all of them for an item extend, if possible.
Yeah, that's really nice. It's not too hard. It's just you're gonna want to route the level anyways with your bombs, and that'll just help you get the 1-up too.
Yeah, exactly.
But as long as you basically just want to keep bombing, bottom line.
Yeah.
And hopefully the route will come. I don't know. It's not too bad, but yeah, it's definitely. It took me actually a long time to get a good feel for it, but eventually you just kind of know because probably die while you're trying to learn it.
Yeah, they said the routing for the towers is actually quite strict in this, and once you learn it, you basically don't forget it. But a lot of this game, as we mentioned at the beginning, is timing based. So you kind of also need to learn the timing, how long it takes for your rose quarter to charge, and where you need to place it in order to maximize your safety. But yeah, so this mid boss, again, we're just going to be picking up all the turrets and then timing it out, which is what it's doing here. Actually, got all the turrets there nicely. Ideally, you want to kill it though, because it actually fires those not able to absorb by aura sword bullets, as well as this rather crazy pattern, which is slowing down the screen.
Thankfully, it stops shooting the swords at like the very bottom, I guess, because you're probably sealing them.
Yeah, that was an optimal kill though. He actually destroyed it.
This is worth a lot of points. So you really want to have all those turrets destroyed in this fight, so that this pattern is more dense. Yeah, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's same vein as the stage 4 mid boss. Just destroy the turrets, let it time out, absorb all of its bullets.
And that's like 100k more from having it timed out like near the bottom.
Yeah,
it really pretty nice.
All adds up.
Not only you want to kill it while it times out, but also time when you kill it during your timeout. Multiple timings on each other there.
Yeah, there's a lot that you have to pay attention to in this game, which does make it quite difficult for people learning the game. But it's quite rewarding once you actually start nailing a lot of the strats and getting all the way through a game, which a lot of people tend to consider to be one of the hardest games out there.
This last part's a little tricky exiting the level. You have your last 2 silos, but then you also have 2 trains with laser turrets. And you also have like a flamethrower up here and like a bunch of other stuff. It's worth mentioning back there, like those fronts of the tanks shoot like these missiles that are kind of, they have a lot of HP. So you actually have to watch out for those ones back there in particular, because even the bombs doesn't take them out too much. But you want to place the bombs high enough up at that last section so that you can collect all the point items from those enemies. So Plasmo got most of them, which is actually good, because that's actually the stage's like cash out moment.
Yeah.
You cash in your medal value there. It's like 300k. So the game just gives you score like that too. It'll just give you a lot of medals. Which is actually nice as well.
There's a few places where you do cash in your medal value like that, so you kind of want your medals like as high as possible.
Like for example, if you had died right before that last part, you just lost 300k, like just straight up. So that's why some deaths can be pretty rough in that regard. There's another one, like losing the medal or dying, or rather losing the medal to clouds. You lose a lot of score too. And Yago just knew like it was hard as hell to carry the medal chain there, I guess.
Yeah, he likes to make his games a little tricky.
But
stage 5.
Yeah, anyway, at phase 1 of this boss here, it'll just use like 1 attack at a time, but this homing blue laser attack is probably the worst one. It's just really fast, so you gotta have your bomb timings like generally good enough so that you have some room to like keep protecting yourself with them, while also like having to like go in between the lasers, which you kind of need to know what to do that. So this boss is pretty challenging to survive, just because it has a pretty good variety of attacks, and due to the random movement, it can catch you at a bad timing of your bomb that you're like far away from the homing blue lasers. Like your whole thing is like you want to be bombing when it ends its previous movements, because like it's actually moving 6 times right here, and then it'll go to its next attack. So you can kind of count the movements, but unfortunately it's not perfect because each movement has a varying length of time. So yeah, you just have to kind of play it by ear a little bit. Like even bombing that far away is kind of risky, because even there, like Plasmo's having to do like probably like an 8-frame window bomb deploy, which is still something you have to do to survive. Like that's the thing, like if you forget or you bomb too early at any time, like you just die.
Yeah,
So,
instant death.
you know,
It's very punishing that way, yeah. If your timings are off, you're basically dead, as you mentioned before. It can be 1, 2, maybe 3 lives lost in quick succession.
I feel like this boss really tests your timing of the bomb placement and like where you put them.
Yeah,
Because you can get
timing.
punished so easily from this boss in particular because of not being careful with it.
Yeah, timing, positioning, even your movement is tested in this as well because you actually need to know how to direct the attacks properly as well. Yeah, so looks like we're on phase 2, where it starts using multiple of the weapons at once,
Yeah.
which is not very nice to deal with. In phase 1, though, what you want to do is you want to destroy that spike ball which you saw being used as quickly as possible because once it's destroyed, it actually triggers the green bullet spread, which is actually worth quite a lot of points if you can absorb it with aura.
Yeah, this attack
This
right
one here.
here.
Yeah, this one here, it's great. You can just sit on top of it, aura it if you want to be safe, or use a rose cracker and shoot to get some tick points. But yeah, she likes to use a lot of truly awful attacks. These can be quite scary to avoid if you're just learning the game. And generally, I consider this one to be probably the first major wall of the game in terms of like progression.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's not pleasant at all. And even like seasoned veterans can like make some mistakes on this boss.
Yeah, like what can happen is like you can get crushed by the downward blue lasers there on the sides of the screen. Like you're expected to actually know that there's a gap in between like the boss's arms and like the front, and you're supposed to use that to actually avoid being completely pincered on the side of the screen. And that took like me 10 deaths to realize.
Yeah, it teaches you by.
Yeah, sometimes it just does annoying stuff that you have to be ready for
Yeah,
in terms of the random element.
she's a harsh teacher. This one, like it took me a long time to actually learn how to do this one. I actually sat in practice mode, like for at least a couple of sessions, just trying to figure out what all of her attacks are and how to deal with them. And yeah, it took a while to nail a lot of this actually. Again, though, once you
Yeah.
actually start learning it, it's very satisfying putting it all together.
Alright, now we go to the second half of the game where we go to Clouds,
Yes.
which is about 20-minute level, maybe a little less.
Yeah, the longest stage in the game. Also, the stage used for score attack mode, which is probably a better way to learn how to get through this stage. Like initially, because you do have to basically go through this all in one go, and there's quite a lot of really nasty sections you have to watch out for as well.
Yeah, it's kind of long here. You have like a lot of these like kind of basic formations that you're killing, and kind of gotta know, kind of gotta be on your toes. But then there's like much harder sections that will come later on.
Yeah.
So we'll get to that though. But like, this is all like pretty concerted movement because you want to kill as many of these guys as possible. Then Plasmo wants to shoot any of these enemies as they come at the top of the screen because you just get more tick points for shooting. So it was actually shooting a lot of those patterns back there instead of just using Rose Cracker to get a little more scores still.
Yeah, it's a lot of optimization here. Again, still destroying things for Zan as well if needed.
So Plasmo knows exactly when it's okay for him to like shoot a bit more or whatever here because if you don't, you will just easily die just because the stage is always throwing stuff at you.
Yeah, again though, this stage is very heavily routed, so you're seeing very specific movements and very specific weapon usage throughout here to maximize the score.
Yeah, like here you can use actually reverse rose hips to shoot a few more of those little planes, and every 16 airborne enemies that dies, you get a medal. So if you're actually shooting more enemies, you're actually still getting an extra medal here and there.
Yep.
First mid boss.
Yep, first mid boss, pretty straightforward, just avoiding it and just trying to keep it alive for a little bit here. Bombing these missiles is worth a lot though, so you're trying to farm as many of those as possible and also getting some tick.
Yeah, so like when he's bombing, like when it does the missile attack, Plasmo knows that the bomb's going to protect him completely from that homing missile attack. And since he knows it's safe to not have your shield built up after that, you can shoot while bombing, which is actually the most optimal way of dealing damage for score, because you're going to be getting the damage anyways from the bomb connecting, so you might as well shoot, and that actually gets you extra score. But the damage that's actually dealt is the damage from the bomb itself, which is a slightly higher DPS than just shooting. It's actually like 26 damage on the overlay for a full bomb, and that's the equivalent to, I think 5 shots is 20 damage, but that's how long it lasts anyways. But yeah, it's just timing this out and getting as many opportunities to shoot the boss, because it does have a pretty big surface area. And any big surface area target is going to be good for the shooting with Lace, so pretty good there. And then you want to get that shot kill in that mid-boss, that's 50k instead of 5,000 points.
Yep.
Yeah, so carrying on here, he's got like the section routed out, and you really want to shoot these particular enemies because they're worth, I think, 2,000 points for shooting, which actually is a ton.
Yeah. Again, movement is routed here, like for survival as well. But these next enemies are worth more if you use your Rosecracker. So again, heavily routed. You use Shock for the first set, use Rosecracker for this set. There's going to be a huge wave of them coming up in a minute. There we are. Just bomb these, and you can see the score jumping up by a lot.
Yeah, that was like 300k right there. So you're just getting rewarded for making it this far in the game at this point.
Yeah.
With like scoring like that. Oh.
Yep, and here you actually want to try and get some medals out of these. So we've got a few there, that's fine. Routing these missile launchers as well. And
yeah, so now it's going to be a bunch of these.
You're going to need all of your lives. Yeah.
So if you finish off these guys with your shot, you get 10,000 points, which is actually pretty good. So you want to learn how to damage these enough that, well, in this case it's 6 shots, and the 6th shot at max rank is what kills these guys off, so Plasmo's doing 6, and then he's immediately getting out of there.
Yep.
So he can dodge the bullets afterwards, because it is risky to like do those extra shots, but it's all giving this extra score, plus it's killing the guys in the back here.
Yep.
But, this is worth a lot of points for getting a lot of these shot kills on these. But then, yeah, the final section of it, you have like 6 of them there. Hard to kill them all, really, but Plasmo did, and actually got all the medals, so that's pretty sweet.
Yep. What Plasmo is going to be doing in this section, though, is he's going to be setting up for special option, which is homing options. You want to drop 4 rose hips and then pick up the 5th, because he will need them for probably the roughest section in the game, like which will be coming up after the next mid-boss. So he's going to drop these 4 here.
Yeah.
Yep. There's the setup, and then he's going to spawn 1 more from here. It doesn't matter where. There it is.
Yeah, you'll see the icon flashing if you can tell as well. That's how you know the special is ready. Yep. That's also how you know a medal's about to be broken, I think, too. They flash when there's only 1 on the screen.
Yep, that's right. Ooh, yeah. This bit is awful.
Yeah, yep. It's like the first big choke point for like the execution required here, which is basically placing the bombs high enough to protect you, then finally placing it at the right time, while also not dying before you can clear them all out. It just all swarms you very closely.
Yeah,
and
homing options actually
really what ends up never ends up stops on you.
Yeah, the homing options actually help a lot there as well, though, because those little flying enemies, the little shielded knights, or whatever they are, they actually home in on you as well as firing homing missiles at you. So the rose crack actually helps to block off as many of them as possible, and then giving you some space to use your rose hips to actually keep them down.
Yeah, but it can be really annoying that bit too, because what ends up happening is you do want to eventually stop having to bomb there, because you want to bomb those black missiles that are dropped down from those mid planes afterwards. But if you have to do an extra bomb, like you might actually be caught in that attack itself. So it ends up, that ends up putting you in a sticky situation. It just really sucks, and you really should practice that part, especially at max rank, because now it's gone pretty crazy.
Yeah, it's not very nice, is it?
1 second. I gotta.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah. Right, yeah, so stage 6, second mid. So what Plasmo is going to be doing here is he's actually going to be farming tick points for it because, interestingly enough, it doesn't look like you can damage the mid boss with your shot, considering how big and thick and inaccurate it is on this mid boss. So we're making full use of that by just shooting it. You also wanted to use these destructible missiles as well. Because again, they're worth points when you shoot them down, and also they're towards our encounter as well. We're going to be going for hopefully a timeout here as well. I can't remember how many cycles. I think it's like 16 to 18 cycles or something. Thankfully, the cycles are pretty quick, but the next section is by far the hardest section in the game. We went to get the homing options for that one because they actually help a lot for that. But yeah, we'll be. Yes. No, not bombing these large orbs. Actually, just shooting them because the large orbs aren't really worth that much. Bombing helps to destroy them, but to be honest, the pattern's quite easy to avoid, so you don't have to worry about like destroying them in order to be safe. We're just doing this for a crazy amount of tick. You can see that Plasma's actually got quite an enormous score at the moment, a H score. And we've still got plenty of stage to go in this one, so that score is going to be going up even further as time goes on. We should be approaching timeout at this point, though. Still got a couple of cycles to go. You'll probably start seeing, Plasma is going to start charging Rose Cracker up where needed. There it times out. It just fires everything at once and then drifts off the screen. So he's actually back up to 5 lives. Really, really good. But yeah, Snake Laser section, these like floating helicopter turrets fire these extremely long lasers which cover... They don't cover like a wide amount of the screen, but because they're so long, they actually stop you from like moving across the screen, which makes this section really tough because you've got these snakes to deal with as well. Like as you can see, this section is not very pleasant. On the Xbox 360 version, this has no slowdown whatsoever. Well, it has a little bit, but not nearly the amount that you're seeing here on the PCB. And on PCB, it's actually quite nice to actually deal with there because the slowdown helps a lot. But that's not the end of it because now we've got these snakes instead. The bigger, longer, nastier ones. That's a metal drop by the look of it. It's unfortunate. Third metal drop of the game. Normally you would want the metal to be spawned a little bit higher up so you can actually recover. And sometimes players will actually route at least 1, possibly 2 deaths there just to get past that. But 1 death is actually fine here. He's got most of his power back. It's not special shot though, so it's not going to be nearly as much tick, but at least he's got both rose hips, which he'll be needing for quite a lot of bits coming up. This is stage 6's iteration of Scrambled Egg, the common mid-boss that we've seen appearing throughout the game. This cycle is basically all it does. It like shoots aim shots at you and then does this really huge volley of pink bullets and destructible bullets. Again, you need to use your shot to destroy the little orange ones. You can use aura for it, but you're not getting nearly as many points, and it does increase your sand counter rather than decrease if you use your rose cracker on them. So if you're trying to get extra lives, you do need to pay attention to that. But what he's doing here is he's just sitting off to the side and using shot in order to shoot down all of the bullets, which is giving him a lot of points. That's a little optimization that the guys have been working on in order to get some points here. You can actually do a little safety strat here as well by setting your options to follow and then sitting in a specific position so that the bullets actually run into the option itself.
Alright, I return. So I see we got the pretty good milk here.
It's still moved quite low down. Hello, you're back?
I'm back.
Nice one. Yeah, I was just talking about how awful this was. Well. Yes, he's here.
Nice.
Yeah,
hello.
Just watching along. But it seems like you guys are covering this pretty well, so.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, Plasmo had technical difficulties, but he's here in spirit.
do that though.
With his run
like
right
it can,
now.
yeah, it's a thing.
Anyway. But yeah, you can get a ton of Zon from this boss actually if you fully milk it out with the reverse rose hip trick for blocking the bullets. You can get so much Zon here, you can set up. You can actually get another life after this.
Yeah, I've
So
seen that
actually
happen.
really good. Happened in one of my last runs.
Nice. Yeah, it's very scary to do though because you have to be very precise with how you set that option up as well.
Yeah, you do. Generally, it's like pretty safe to do, but when the boss goes really low, like where the propellers are like a couple ship
Like it's-
lengths even beneath the text at the top of the screen.
Yeah,
When it's like really
doing now.
low, like then it's like crappy, and yeah, like I guess he just died. It sucks.
Yeah, he died again. I think that's his second life now on this boss. It's
Like this attack's
not
really
nice.
annoying to deal with, and
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
because you're forced to
Usually,
basically redo those bombs like within a pretty small window. So.
yeah, it's literally split seconds. You need to basically position yourself in the right place and then just hope that you actually time your button press. You drop the bomb rather than canceling the charge, which can happen as well. Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually
fun.
24 cycles though. Like the timer on this is insane, so that's why you can build that Zon count
Yeah.
if you go like the full distance.
He's got 2 lives though, so at least he's got some coverage for probably the most like the last tricky part coming up, the drone rush. Unfortunately, he dropped medals again like during snakes. So
Yeah, I missed the snake.
these would have
Dang
been.
it.
Yeah. He died once. Dropped his medals though, unfortunately, so didn't really get as many out of this. As he
Yeah,
would
the
like.
medal drop is so hard to keep on this level, no matter how much you practice it, because those dang snakes are just too random.
Yeah. He's going for the setup here. Yes, he is. He's left a few here and he's going to orbit them so that he times exactly when these drones appear so that he can actually set his charge timing and positioning correctly.
Yeah, this part really sucks. You're pretty much expected to die here with Lace because her bomb always has to build from center. Yeah, that's not particularly great because these enemies often pierce through inexplicably.
Yeah, sometimes it does happen.
I'd say a lot. It happens a lot. But
And then
yeah.
you got the last wave, which is basically this hard, like very difficult to avoid. He died
Yeah.
unfortunately again.
That's
Oh,
also
no.
really like the last big just FU. So you
Yeah.
basically have to wait till the last enemy is off screen or is killed, and then it's like a 2.5 to 3 second delay.
Yeah.
And then you're supposed to bomb to protect yourself at that point. And I usually find it best to wait until like they actually appear. But again, like that's kind of riskier with Lace because her bomb has to build itself first. So with Lace, you actually want to do that a little bit earlier to survive it. And so yeah, once you're past all that crap, you get the opportunity to fight this boss.
Yeah, basically Madball Mark III. Is what I call it. It is pretty much Madball. It behaves pretty much the same way. You've got outer turrets. You've got like lots of different phases. It's pretty fun, this boss though. She's got some interesting attack patterns to work with.
It is pretty good. It's a 3-phase fight here.
Yeah.
So he's just
build
working
up your
on
Zan.
Yeah, building up the Zon and working on the damage here because you'll get a shot kill bonus for destroying the ring. Going into phase 2 or 3 or phase 2. But you could pretty easily miss that if you get the kill with just the bomb only. But again, what happens is if you're bombing a target but you shoot it during the bomb, the shot will overwrite for the death blow.
Yeah.
So it's actually pretty convenient still.
Yep.
Anyway,
and then during phase changes, it does this laser net, which we want to bomb. As I was saying, that's one of the most random parts of the scoring on this because we have no idea what determines it, but it can actually like sweep the laser net multiple times, like before it actually dissipates.
Yeah, and you could keep doing some turns there.
Yeah, and you can just keep bombing it and bombing it and bombing it and get a lot of points. And sometimes
it's like 140k per optimal bomb, about.
Yeah, which is a lot of points.
Yeah, that's a ton just for doing one thing.
Yeah,
So you get a huge reward here because yeah, it has 2 opportunities to do that, and on both opportunities it could potentially do it up to 10 times, which is extremely rare. Most of the times it only spins once or twice. That's average. But it actually can spin up to 10 times, which would be a staggering amount of extra points.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I think you've seen
stupid. I've only seen it do 10 in save states, never in a real run.
No, I've not seen it do anywhere near that much in a real run, like, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But not only that is worth a lot, but so is this attack on this phase, the blue circles. We haven't seen them, but the blue donuts, I don't think we've seen them yet.
We've seen it once, but it's... Yeah, I think the attack patterns it uses here are random, but it's right here, yeah.
Yeah, so like this, if you bomb it, if you do it right, it's worth like 120, 130k, maybe 140 as well, just for one thing.
Yeah.
So the more of that you get, and the more of those lasers you get, you're talking like a 2 million point difference between good and bad RNG. So unfortunately, like, this is a lot of score.
Yeah, it's a huge variance of score of this. Even for perfect execution, the boss can be like extremely unfair and say, no, you're not getting any good scoring patterns today.
I'd say you just expect to get below average like scoring RNG. And then if you get good, like, the pressure gets built a little bit.
Yeah, set your expectations low and get surprised when it gives you something good. But yeah, what we want to do here is we're just basically farming each pattern. Like the random pattern we're farming for like extra points, and this one we're trying to get a little bit of Zan if possible.
Yeah, you can dodge and shoot that pattern, but at max rank, those destructible bullets are pretty beefy.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's actually one thing, is there's a pretty big HP difference between max rank and not max rank for a few different things in the game. Actually, we didn't really mention, but the game has like kind of like increments of how the rank affects in various things. So, but anyway, we go to phase 3 here.
Yeah, so this was a pretty not very nice for scoring supernova because each phase change only did one sweep and that's it.
Yeah, that's garbage.
So she wasn't very generous in this one.
I'd say you're in a good spot if you got like 6 or 7 spins total. Because you're already getting like 700 more K or 800 for that.
Yeah.
Close to $1 million, which is a lot.
Final phase here. Again, like the attack patterns it uses are pretty much set, but you do have to handle them in a specific way. So this like sweepy trap net thing is very, very Yagua. He likes to do bullet patterns where you get stuck in a channel and then you have to basically dodge the entire pattern within that channel. Like Garaga does it with Blackheart. This one does it in this particular way.
Yeah, but instead Plasmo is just bombing it completely, because that's just another way to get past that in this game.
Yeah.
But, it's actually, like I said, those destructible bullets have pretty high HP, so if they're right in front of you and you're trying to shoot them down, it often won't work, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So this is why this is actually safer to just keep bombing here.
Yeah. What he's doing there is basically just how you technically want to handle it. Basically, you want to bomb the blue ones and then shot cancel the charge for the green bullets. Again, it's very difficult, as Aquas said, though, so it's probably just safer for most players to bomb your way through that. You can probably bomb your way through this one as well, because this looks a lot harder than... This is a lot harder than it looks, rather, I should say.
So yeah, you can get a lot of extra score ends on there from shooting, which is exactly what Plasmo is doing. You could get some extra score from bombing the origin of the bullets here, but it's actually not bad. It's like 20k, I think, which is good, but still, like, you want to be fighting these bosses till they time out, and even the timeout pattern is actually pretty lucrative on this one. You get 100k per direct bomb placed on the boss, and you actually get 2 fully placed bombs if you do it right. So you
really nice.
Essentially get 100k bonus for timing it out, even if you got the shot kill from not timing it out, because you're foregoing the shot kill with the timeout. But since each bomb is worth 100k, it's okay, because you're just getting an additional 100k if you do another one. And you're getting all the extra score from actually shooting like those bullets. It's quite a bit. And you can even shoot this boss enough to get another Zon built up to the next level.
Yeah, which is exactly what you want as well. You can see it's very high risk, high reward here. You don't get anything if you don't take the risks. And taking the risks is, as we've mentioned before, probably the most fun part of this because there's so many things you have to do in order to get your score. But once you actually start mastering it, it's extremely satisfying. Like, I absolutely adore this game, and I should probably go back to it at some point. But I've been busy with other things.
Yeah,
but it's
that'd be
fun
amazing.
to actually watch. It's fun to actually watch, Aquas and Plasmo absolutely obliterate this game because, like I said, for the longest time, a lot of the Western players didn't really understand how, the really high level player was actually done until Aquas actually sat down and, completely destroyed the game over the course of a year. And here we are. Timeout!
Yeah. So that first bomb wasn't fully over, but he's gonna get most of the points, unfortunately.
Oh, and he got swept!
Unfortunately,
no.
Oh no!
Oh no, he got swept at the very end.
It's like a drive-by shooting there.
Yeah, pretty
Huge.
much.
Yeah, that's pretty annoying to avoid, actually. But again, like that extra bomb is like 80 to 100k, so
Yeah.
you actually want to place that last one if you really want all the score. So it's not like the game doesn't have like high rewarding tricks that are like high risk too. Like, this stuff is in the game, and if you wanna go crazy with it, like you can really do some next level strats here to get all the big score chunks.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I've always liked about Yagawa's games is that there's so many layers to scoring and there's so much you can do to optimize it. I mean, even now, a lot of his older games, like Garega, Batrider, Backraid, are still getting optimized today because of just how deep they are. And again, this one we didn't really understand that much, for the longest time, and then you and then Plasmo started to really work at it, and now we're miles ahead of what scores were back in the day. So there's still probably quite a lot in this game to discover, I would think, which is what's really nice about it.
Yeah, there really is still. It's just kind of not as played from all the players, so the game actually still had stuff to find and discover, I guess.
Yeah, which is a shame really, because I think this game deserves to have a lot more players actually actively taking it to bits and trying to find as much as possible. Because, like I said, there's still quite a lot in there in terms of optimal strats and new discoveries, and we'll probably start seeing even more wacky scoring stuff out there that we need to do in order to push the score even higher.
Yeah. Right now, it's there's just a lot of scores from just some of the RNG lining up.
Yeah.
That can still be put into a good run, but yeah, actually surviving a run. Anyway, Plasmo did the double setup there.
Yeah.
So with the 1-ups. But anyway, you destroy the treads of the first one just as it starts moving, and this allows you to have the one in the far back run over 2 tanks in front of it. Because you destroy the first one, once it starts moving immediately, it's basically all hinged on. So there's a visual cue for when the screen gets low enough. And then you use back rose hips to destroy the treads. So it definitely something you want to practice because 2 lives is a lot better than 1, but 1 is really easy to get though. If you just want to get the 1, you just bomb 1 tank and it's just free.
Yeah, it's absolutely a setup that should be learned though, because again, like you said, 1 life is helpful, but 2 just for this mid boss, which is probably the most difficult mid boss in the game, is actually quite nice.
You want the 2
sometimes
for
if
this.
Yeah, and sometimes as well, if you're really lucky, you've probably set the Zan counter up so you can get an item extend somewhere in the stage as well. So just having at least 2 lives routed into this mid boss is perfect, because this boss is a credit ender.
Yeah,
it has
pretty
destroyed
tough.
credits before. Yeah, these spike discs are extremely resilient, and probably the easiest, well, not easiest, but the best way to deal with them is to use your Rose Cracker and just manipulate their movement so that they get stuck in there as much as possible, which is what you see Plasmo doing. He's constantly moving up and down the screen to lure them, because the discs home in on you, and they directly home in on you as well, but you can manipulate them to slow down by just moving erratically.
Yeah, they tend to slow down when they have to change direction to come after you, and they go really slow when you're at the top of the screen anymore. So I think it's just because they're trying to turn the whole time.
Yeah, which is what you're seeing here. Like Plasmo sits at the top of the screen there, and they slow it down as they're trying to curve back up. So every time here during this fight, you're trying to manipulate these discs to be as slow as possible so that they spend as much time as possible in the Rose Cracker and also away from you.
Yeah, this is like a
again,
spacing/timing battle here. You want to watch where the boss goes and where the lasers and the discs are too, so that you can then pre-plan where your like escape options are as you put down the bombs. Because oftentimes you can lose the space here.
Yeah, that was a no miss.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, that was a no miss on that mid boss, which is really, really good because now you've got 2 lives coming into the final boss, Big Burn.
It's really good to have those 2 lives because stuff happens in this fight, especially phase 3 in terms of dying, but also you do want them ultimately for a timeout, a really lucrative timeout pattern at the very, very end of the game.
Yeah.
So if you can actually make it there, but then furthermore, he still has a special shot. So this is going to allow you to pre-plan your damage in phases 1 and 2 so that you can optimize your tick points when you have to Rose Cracker. Basically what you want to do is you want to shoot when you have to use the bomb to then, you know, oh no, that death.
Oh, what was that? Oh no. Well,
that just happens in this game too, like the random execution error. So
yeah, again, any error in this game usually leads to at least another death somewhere else because recovery is like extremely difficult to do in this.
It's possible he thought he was on speed 0.
Yeah, and then just crashed straight into it. That can happen, yeah. Like your speed is not set correctly and you just overcorrect and fly into something.
Yeah, the extra score you get from having shots still here is decent, but it's nothing like too crazy, so this death isn't going to like take away a ton of score.
No.
But some, because you still want to time out phase 1 and phase 2 and phase 3 in this fight, so you can just get as many scoring opportunities as possible from this boss's attacks. And, you know, I actually get a lot of score here from grazing, so he just got like 15k for that graze alone.
Yeah.
So
this boss is pretty straightforward though.
Yeah, I mean, it's a bit of a break, phase 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Well, phase 1 especially.
It's not really, I wouldn't say it's a breather, but at least it gives you a few, like, it's not as intense as some of the other bosses that we've been through so far, like particularly stage 3, stage 5. They can be extremely pulse-pounding battles. This one is just like, you know, watching out what attacks it uses and just being in grazing position for some of them. It's when we get to its next phase, well, not the next phase, but the phase after that, it starts to be extremely intense.
Yeah, phase 2 will be a little bit harder in that it uses 2 attacks at once, but you'll then kind of be forced to actually keep a bomb rhythm during that because it'll do a sweeping laser now as one of its attacks.
Yep. So again, watching what types of weapons it uses is key. Again, like a lot of a lot of Yagoa's games tend to telegraph what attacks are coming, and it's just a case of learning to spot those telegraphs. Like this boss has quite a lot of them. Like when it uses its arm like that, you know it's going to do that blue laser.
Oh yeah, there's tells for everything.
Yeah, every boss has a tell. Yeah. So again, they're learning this game, and likewise, a lot of Yagao's other games is just learning how to spot what the tells are and learning how to deal with them appropriately.
Oh yeah.
But,
yeah, that attack where like the arms spit out the blue, that's good for absorbing your score. So you want to see that one pretty often.
Yeah. It's actually a nod to Backraid because there's a specific boss in the boss rush in Battle Backraid that uses that. So
yeah.
Quite nice. I see a lot of his game philosophy mixed into this one, like not just Rekka but other stuff as well.
Oh, there's some pretty interesting like theming too, obviously with the toy robots. But this boss resembles a phone, like an old-timey phone.
Yeah, it does.
Shape, and but the music also has like some old style like phone disconnect noises.
Oh yeah, it does.
And also, I found out in the actual arcade board, there's a voice clip, like a phone voice clip that plays, but they removed it in the 360 version.
Oh,
So
that's
there's like a
interesting.
little voice clip that plays in the arcade audio. So I mean, I think that was also a nod to like the phone theme. But
Yeah,
I don't know. A lot of people talk about the graphics and the theming with the toy robots, but I really think, and like the music, the dance style music, I really think it all fits together
it does.
really
Yeah,
really well, and just another great job like from Cave in that department. They
yeah,
all just nailed the like theming and aesthetic.
it's definitely one of his most outlandish games. Like, but yeah, the general theming of the game is it's spot on. I think like the toy robots are incredibly memorable. I think, and it's one of the things that
Yeah,
people usually associate with this game is the boss styles. Compared to something like Ibara, which is like slightly more generic in terms of how it's
yeah.
designed.
Ibar is like gray in comparison, like
Yeah, this
graphic
is
wise.
super colorful and like landscapes everywhere and huge chunky enemies. It's really nice to look at. Right, final phase, and this is probably what people will recognize from a lot of his games, like the free floating thing that just spits out bullets everywhere. In this case, this one like has a lot of lasers and lots of screen filling bullet attacks, and it's
Yeah, this
generally
really
just
is like
learning.
the Yagawa final boss type.
Yeah, I mean, we've seen the likes of Glow Squid do it, but
Yeah, Glow
Rekka,
Squid. Yeah,
as we
Mecha.
mentioned, is basically the one which started off and the one that this one is modeled off. So players who've played Rekka before and actually played all the way to the end will actually recognize a lot of the attack patterns. This attack pattern though is basically taken from Ibara, which is Dime's bomb actually, player two side's bomb. He does actually use this one as well, which is the stage three boss's
You're gonna
bomb attack.
recycle some moves on classic final boss type of
Oh yeah,
behavior.
oh yeah.
It's
And
tough.
again,
Yeah, this fight's tough because some common or sequences of attacks it uses bleed into the others, which cause you to have limited space. Like this attack.
yeah, the Hado
Yeah,
from Ibara
if
as
a
well.
Hado ends on the awkward spacing there, like you're forced then into that corner of the screen for the next attack. And so that's
Yeah,
where you
which
start to see the unpredictability of surviving this boss, unfortunately.
yeah, and
Well,
unfortunately,
it's kind of good because it makes it exciting, but
yeah. In this case, though, it was a little unfortunate because the boss used this really lucrative attack just after the Hado, which means he was trapped up against the screen and couldn't
yeah.
really take full advantage of it. But this thing's worth a lot, though. If you can cancel all of it, you can just see it.
This is the game slowing
It's,
down the most, I think, right here.
it is, yeah.
That's cool.
Whoa. Don't like this attack. This thing takes a lot of space, so a lot of players will just misdirect this off the top of the screen if possible.
Yeah, watch the giant like yellow and blue cannon because that's the one you really need to get out of the bottom of the screen for.
Yep.
I really want you to know because it's just. I mean, look
Because
look how much it stands out.
yeah,
Like they want you to know like
yeah.
you're just not
Again,
dodging that at all.
it's just watching out for those tells. Once you recognize that's the attack it's going to use, you start moving and preparing to misdirect it.
Yeah, usually it's 3 to 4 bombs to keep you protected per cycle, and you want to have that first one go off like soon after the beginning of the next cycle, so you're not left in a really bad situation.
Oh,
Yeah,
these missiles! Oh god,
they're harder
awful.
with Lace because the bomb has to build up like that. But the other
Yeah,
characters that have the instant bombs, you can just go quickly into safety.
yeah. It's interesting as well. In Rekka, those missiles actually move much faster in that game compared to in this game. So in this one, they're so slow that you actually have to continually put back to misdirect them into the Rosecracker.
So it's actually ideal there, Plasmo, for to like absorb with the shield there, and it's slow enough that you kind of can. Because actually, ultimately, what you want to do for score is time this phase out and hopefully get a shot kill at the very, very end. But there's actually a fourth cycle, which is like a bonus timeout cycle for this boss as well. I'm not sure if Plasmo
Oh boy.
but it's worth a lot, actually.
It looks like he's trying for it.
Yeah.
He's got to deal with this one first, though. There we go.
You have to intentionally not damage the boss to get there, because you can easily kill this boss in this phase early, too.
Yep. He's trying to get some tick off the boss, which is kind of
You
interesting.
do get something from that. That's actually nice. So now's the timeout.
And it's gonna charge him. Oh my god! Yeah, this is
I'm surprised he
this is a
wasn't
thing.
going for a charge, but now the boss
is a
just
thing.
kind of like hones in on you like every couple seconds.
Yep. No.
Ooh.
Oh,
Guess
man.
no
Too late.
milking going on there. But essentially, you can do like a figure 8 pattern and actually like lead it into your bombs and keep avoiding it. And you can actually do that for quite a while. It's like it lasts for like 25 seconds or something. And then
Yeah.
after that, if you somehow like survived all that, it's pretty tough to do. You can also get a shot kill for 100k at the very, very end because after that timeout attack, it times out again. Where it just like stays on. It like Big Burn just pauses for like it actually pauses for like 10 seconds, and that allows you to go for that final shot kill because it's not actually attacking you, and then it'll like
That's...
he'll slowly like hobble off screen or whatever.
I don't think I've actually seen it do the second timeout. I've just seen the first timeout.
Technically, it
God.
is, but it just doesn't have an attack. The final timeout. But I like that
Yeah.
there's a bonus cycle there because it's like if you do it like right, it's like 400k actually, like 300 or 400k. Like it's a lot. That's a
Yeah.
huge chunk. Like at the very, very, very end of the game, and you're not going to be able to do that if you don't have lives. You're probably not going to want to do that if you want to get to clear.
Yeah.
Because it's just super dangerous to like actually time out the boss and like expect you're not gonna die because at some spots where that when the time's out there, there's less like it's really tough to avoid the first charge and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I just find it's amusing that much score is available at the final moment of the game. It just seems like it's just all pre-planned madness.
Yeah. It's the way that it.
Get that crap off screen.
To get towards the very end of the game, which is it's always fun to see that actually. Like I said, this boss, Big Burn, it's a pretty big cash-in moment if you get there with a lot of lives, but not many
Yeah.
people are going to be getting there with lives, so it's usually just safer to kill it as quickly as possible.
Yeah, Stage 7 is that mid boss is really tough, and then yeah, you have to learn like all those attacks from Big Burn himself. So you know it is like some learning you'll have to do.
Yeah,
But actually,
it's fun
I like
to learn
that.
though.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah,
It is actually fun.
I think Big Burn's like one of the more entertaining bosses in the game because again, like we said, first couple of phases are like quite chilled, so you can just settle into it, and then it's all out for the last one. And that's usually when you have to be at your most focused because you can quite easily lose all of your lives like in quick succession on that last phase if it decides to do attacks that you don't set up for properly.
All right, so we do have some more footage for this episode, and this time we're going to look at the 360 version with my gameplay. It's a 22.7 million score with Lace, but we're going to look at this just to see how I fared on the snakes. We're going to start it from like late game, and we'll just basically just watch basically just the snakes pretty much, or I was thinking maybe yeah, just the snakes, actually. I don't know. Actually, we weren't gonna watch my replay at all because I forgot because I was thinking of having myself and Plasmo both our runs like shown, but actually we don't need to look at the snakes on that, but it could be good. But we do have some other stuff, including what scoring looks like with Kasumi. So I've been like learning how to play as Kasumi. We also have Matey and Meaty, which is another character type. The characters you can use from player Gray, who has spent a ton of time playing this game. So we can look at that too. One moment.
Yep. By the way, chat, play Pink Sweets. Go play
Yeah,
Pink Sweets.
Gotta get the classic shell in there.
Yeah. Go play Pink Sweets. This game is great though. I actually really do enjoy it. So it's always nice to see people play it and actually play it at a really high level. So I think it's interesting as well. I think earlier this year, this game actually had a little renaissance on Twitch. Like we started to see quite a lot of Japanese players starting to stream it again. I think it was actually put into one of the Japanese arcades like a while ago. and one of the top level players was teaching like the
Mhm.
community over there, which is why a lot of players started to stream it again. I think there was a point where we saw like 3 or 4 Japanese players streaming it on Twitch
Oh, interesting.
at the same time, which was really nice. Like we went from like just having basically one person streaming it for whenever up
Yeah.
and then we've got like a huge bunch of people playing it at the same time, which is really good.
Yeah,
Um,
I'm not very active of like looking at the game myself. I remember back when we were doing the Writing DX episode in February, he was mentioning that like one of the arcades was showing off Pink Sweet's footage, which he used to kind of crib tips as well.
yeah. Yeah, I think that's usually how we see a lot of players starting to come back into it when like an arcade starts to feature it. It was actually nice to see though. There were some really good players like picking it up back then and trying to learn it. And, it was nice as a long-time Pink Sweets fan and at one point the only player actually playing it at some point. It was nice
Yeah.
to see a lot of people picking it up again. So I'm happy about that. I mean, it's good to see people actually enjoying this game and actually playing it the way that the game wants to be played. Because as I mentioned at the beginning of the stream, for the longest time, not many people actually understood how to play Pink Sweets the right way, and a lot of people were trying to approach it like classic Yugawa, rank controlled. But this game actually wants you to play it like balls to the wall, all out, maximum rank, like farming points everywhere and just using your bombs everywhere. And once you actually start to play that way, that's when it gets your blood pumping and you start to really zone in on how the game works. And it's rewarding once you actually get into that zone. There's been times when I've played it for like hours and hours on end and like just lost track of time because of how addictive scoring
Yeah.
and it can actually be. It's great. I love it.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
like the thing. Like the scoring is fun, and having the rank higher is what supplements that. So, I mean, you
Yeah.
can play low scoring, and then it's like it kind of breaks the game down to its bare essentials. Like you'll still like you have to know how to fight the bosses and whatnot. But like
Yeah.
but you potentially could do a low rank run. You're just not getting any medals. And you're not really getting much power-ups either, and you're not really doing scoring either, so you're just kind of shooting stuff occasionally. But you actually can do low rank run, and basically it's like the only reason you'd want to manage rank is that you have an easier time with the first appearance of the snakes in stage 4, because that's like your huge rank wall in the early game. But since we're going for high score with the lace runs and other runs, it's too much score to sacrifice to not have the rank maxed out at that point, because stage 2 and stage 3 are just worth a bunch.
Yeah,
You have
exactly.
the rank high up. So that's like the two things you'd want to plan out for. So like sometimes I was doing like kinda low enough rank so that the snakes wouldn't be maxed out, but you gotta sacrifice some score and then to do that. I don't know. You could.
Yeah.
I mean, I think we were doing that for some time, but eventually it just becomes a little bit easier just to bring it up again. But I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, again, like I said at some point, this and a lot of the other Yagao games are multi-layered, so you can actually just build up your knowledge as you go.
Yeah.
You don't have to go like max rank straight away. You can start learning some of the score tricks and then work them into higher rank as you go. And which is basically how I actually learned to play it. Like, obviously, I started low ranked, thought, this isn't very fun. And then Yosuke released his like streams at one point, which showed like a much higher rank play. And I was like, oh, that looks like fun. And then I started to actually learn some of those strats and build on them. And that's when we started to actually pick up that maximum rank is the right way to play it for score.
Yeah.
But you can play it low rank if you want for survival. There's also version 1.01 on the Xbox port, which does change a lot of the rank system in order to allow you to play at low rank and still play the game. That's always an option if you want to play Pink Sweets but not actually get, butt fucked by the game, because this game, like we said, is actually very unforgiving if you make mistakes. Version 1.01 is a little bit more forgiving, but it does change quite a few things up, that one.
Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we do get some more footage here. We'll take a look at so I'd like to go to my Kasumi footage here at 1321 on that video, if you guys can find that.
Yeah, got it. Ready?
And Yeah, so basically we're going to be able to look at kind of what scoring or what some other characters are like here. Kasumi uses primarily like these missiles that have a splash damage effect, kind of like Miyamoto from Belgrega, like his like options that
Right.
like the little plasma balls.
Yeah, the plasma or like
Yeah.
bombs or whatever. Yeah.
So you have Kasumi who has that, but like she also gets pretty good tick points from those missiles, but they're not piercing, and you can only have like so many on screen at a time. So you actually have a shift of the scoring dynamic go to point blanking, because that's when all the missiles can come out sooner, and the sooner
right.
that the missiles come out, the more tick points you get. But it's even better if they detonate like right over a target. You actually get faster tick point gain when it's detonating over like a target than lasers get. But
Okay.
it's hard to like take advantage of that. So, but we'll just see like how that changes a little bit from this free play.
Okay, so that's like a splash damage thing that's causing it to.
Yeah, it's just like
Okay.
splash damage is what this character is about. And then
Okay.
so she'll also have the circular bomb, which is like kind of the standard type of bomb of the game, because 2 characters actually have the circular one. So that's a instant circular bomb, more traditional style, that instead of like one building up. And one thing is actually it's instant, so you can go right into the bomb radius immediately, which makes it a little bit safer. But since it's not as big as laces and not as long lasting, it ends up being probably ultimately a little bit harder to use. But we'll see some of that too. So yeah, I'll count us down for this footage, and we're just gonna watch like the boss in like one stage here.
Cool.
Okay.
All right,
Ready?
all right, 3, 2, 1, go.
Stage 2 boss.
But yeah, just go to this boss because you'll see me using the missiles differently to get more score. But how this is gonna change this boss fight is like those UFOs, like those can end up blocking my attacks from actually hitting the boss. So instead of with lace, you can mediate the damage by letting like just shooting at all, because it's gonna pierce to the top of the screen. Now there's like a bunch of stuff that gets in the way. But this is actually a good thing, because all the stuff that gets in your way is more stuff for you to shoot and not damage the boss at the same time. So ultimately, you're actually shooting more often than with lace if you really want to optimize the score with this character here. So it's nice because you're also getting the Zon built up from the UFOs here, but also getting like, yeah, it's pretty good points when you hit stuff with those missiles.
Yeah. You're on special shock power up as well, though, aren't you? So that's like maximum missiles.
One moment.
Yep.
Okay, I will.
Yeah, a little bit of tick point farming here, as you can see. Yeah, so the lasers, the wings shoot are actually aimed in your direction. You can actually do what he's been doing in a couple of phases here and actually force them to fire in a specific position, which will leave a gap which you can dive into, so you can continue shooting there. But for the most part, you just want to misdirect them off to like a particular side of the screen, so you've actually got some space to work with here. Similar principle to lace though, like he should, like there. If you direct it like a little bit higher up, it gives you space to actually move down to the bottom of the screen, and you can continue shooting that way, those lasers.
Okay, I'm back. Thanks for taking the helm there for a moment.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so just having some fun watching this.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just mentioning as well that little trick they do with the directing the lasers a little to the middle of the screen, so you've got a gap to move underneath it. It's something you can do in order to let you continue shooting.
Yeah, it's good to know all the little tricks that you can use to your disposal like that. Because
Oh,
yes,
yes.
you could avoid the side, but sometimes you might need to do something like that anyway.
Yeah. Stage 3. Yeah.
Yeah, so there'll be
The end
a
of-
couple spots of this where you'll see me just hugging the top of the screen, and this anytime you can do this when there's not randomly spawning enemies, airborne enemies from the top of the screen, and there's new enemies spawning on the screen, like on the ground. You're gonna be able to, so right here you can see the tick point gain just go crazy.
Ooh. Nice.
Yeah, point
It's like-
blank ticking.
So like that's really where Kasumi can get all her like. It's like the meta for her extra scoring is if you can get into that point blank zone, you can end up getting like extra bits of score. So with Kasumi, you generally are like working more for bits and pieces of score because of that. Whereas with Lace, like you can just since it's hitting the full screen, you have less to think about.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Oh, go ahead. I was just gonna say, you're gonna see me getting the 1-up differently than with Lace. This time it's gonna be instead of shooting, I'll use a bomb. So this is like the other way to get it.
Yeah, the other setup. Yeah, I was gonna say if you know players familiar with Miyamoto and Garaga, you basically play this character the same way, point blanking and just getting as much tick as possible.
And so it's pretty fun.
Manipulation. Yeah, it's really cool. It's a different way of playing Pink Sweets compared to Lace, where you're basically hanging back, using the lasers as much as possible. And this one, you're way more aggressive and actually trying to manipulate the use of the dead zone as much as possible in order to get like a lot of tick points.
Yeah, no,
it's pretty nice actually.
Yeah, I know it's gonna be. I mean, it's gonna be a little bit harder too, just because you can't kill stuff.
There's quite a lot of. Yeah, there's quite a lot of interesting strats you can actually employ with Kasumi as well because of how different her attacks are. I've seen some really interesting strats in Stage 6 actually, like especially the final drone rush before the boss.
Yeah.
I've seen people actually sitting to the side of the screen and pointing the options backwards, like backwards and diagonally downwards.
Yeah.
And just sitting there, and it basically the combination of the missiles being rapidly fired off the top of the screen and the options actually keeps you completely perfectly protected there, which is interesting. I don't know if that's a low rank.
It is. Yeah, you can't do that on
I thought
max
it was.
rank, sadly, but
yeah, I thought it was. It's an interesting strat.
But it's still cool that it's there because you can use that if the rank allows.
Yeah, exactly. So again, like all the different characters have like very different ways of handling, the game. So you have to learn lots of different strategies for each one.
Yeah, I mean, with Kasumi, it's kind of nice with those missile explosions because they actually are. I mean, it actually does protect you pretty good, which you'll end up finding out if you do play this character. But I do the auto fire rate at 20 because that kind of makes the small stagger in the like 2 volleys of missiles. So you can have like 2 volleys at a time. And I tend to stick with level 3 for the early game too because having special makes it so you end up like damaging more stuff than you want to, and you actually don't lose a lot of score or hardly any from not having that extra tier of missiles. So you get like an extra tier on the outside of the missile ring. I think it's the 4th. You get like 4 on each side instead of 3 with the special, but yeah, you actually don't need special for this character, which is actually nice because if you die, you actually just need 1 rapid fire power up to like go back to doing the point blank scoring with the character. But
yeah, that's the nice thing is that you don't have to recover nearly as much.
So that's kind of good, but you'll still be like, well, that is like level 1 is honestly like it is really good like so with this character. So and then you have the circular bomb to deal with, but yeah, just basically it's just a lot of the same strats apply. It's just you gotta change them here and there.
Yeah, this is a much more ethical way of handling this boss.
Yeah, so the Graze trick doesn't work here with Kasumi because her hitbox is higher up.
Yeah.
And for whatever reason, you can't do the trick here anymore. You still get some good score, but
yeah, so this is like the normal, like not normal, but the usual way you would handle this. Like a little bit at the bottom, you would either absorb the pink bullets that are coming your way, or you could actually use your shot and cut through the lanes, the zigzag lanes, which you can do as well. It is possible to do. So there's a couple of ways you can handle this first phase, like the standard way, depending on how you want to actually approach it.
Yeah, and then like this bit will be a little bit different because you're basically doing it the same way as you would with Lace, which is just shooting missiles out as the direction changes. I actually did end up finding out that you pretty much get the same amount of score, but you end the phase early if you fight like more aggressively, where you have like the bombs going out. up closer. So, but thing is, it's like a little risky because playing more aggressive here can get you more score from doing that. But you can get one of those missiles to slip through if the boss like charges forward and uses the missiles, because then they start overlapping, and then your missiles can't kill them as reliably. Like that's kind of what happens in this game. Is like there's like these little minute interactions with things that will just cause you to end up dying. So
Yeah.
like this boss with those missiles is kind of something with that.
Yeah, there's always something to be aware of in this game. You're never really put into any massive amount of downtime, like dead air. You always have to be aware of everything that's coming around, like at any one point, which is what makes this game so challenging.
Yeah.
It doesn't really give you much of a breather. Yeah, it doesn't give you much of a breather at any point, which is, I think it's quite nice actually, because it's not boring at any point. Some stages can be a little bit too long though, obviously stage 6, but stage 6 is still pretty fun to play like at an optimal level. And again, you're still trying to like pay attention to as much as possible so that you don't make silly mistakes in that one.
Yeah, it is like that. It's not boring, and so even though it's long, it actually doesn't feel that long when you play it.
Plasmo's like, yes, getting no breather for 90 minutes straight. Nice game. Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
The length can be pretty tough, but it makes for like a kind of a that journey type of shmup experience.
Yeah.
There's no really dead air or whatever in the game, so it's nice.
Yeah.
Like once you finally make it to the clouds level on a single credit, you really feel like accomplished.
Yeah.
Because it's pretty tough to get there in one credit.
Yeah, just getting past all of the different walls in this game that it throws at you is, it's, like you said, it's an accomplishment, and you feel it's quite satisfying doing that. Like, the snake lasers obviously being one of the major walls, and then the stage 5 boss is the second major wall. And then once you actually get to stage 6, it's like, but then you can't take a break because it's quite long and you still need to pay attention.
One thing that's different with Kasumi here is that sword attack. Since her bomb instantly is generated like circular, you can then absorb those swords out at the point of origin, which allows you to get both sides instead of just like one side with Lace's Rosecracker. So if
pretty good.
If that attack would have been swords, like you actually get like 50k for the swords. So the shift on the scoring changes a little bit, where you want to try to get those swords absorbed as much as possible. But I found then it kind of changes too, because the sword bombs that you end up bombing, those ones are more dangerous to bomb with the circular, because it doesn't, like, since it's not as big, it doesn't like these right here, it makes them detonate like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's actually pretty risky to actually go for the score for blowing those up, which normally was what you do. But you also, since it's instant, since like the bomb's instant, if you're gonna go for that, you're probably gonna be getting damage, and then that ends up being too much damage, and you're trying to do like the 16 cycles here. So it really has, like, when you get down to the scoring, it comes to a lot to just knowing what you're doing with damage and that type of thing. And
yeah,
same so kind of a difference here with Kasumi, but it's kind of something there's the sword attack there, so it's like 50k, pretty good.
Yeah, that's actually quite a nice strat there, just sitting up there and bombing the origin. I think you usually do that for quite a lot of the attacks for these instant bomb characters.
Yeah, sadly the spike balls there give nothing for score.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's pretty much all we need to look for at this replay. I think I want us to check out Matey and Meaty gameplay by a player known as Gray. So this is the kind of the weakest character. So the scoring revolves around your just all the rest of your fundamentals. Because her shot doesn't get any tick points, so there's just no point to like shoot stuff unless it is worth more. It's very specific circumstances, but there'll be less shooting with this character. But it's interesting though, because Gray actually races the rank early in the game. On stage 2, we'll actually max it out. Instead of wearing Lace, you'll actually max it out at the end of, or rather at the beginning of the stage 3 boss. And this is just because Matey Meaty can't take all these other advantages, or rather, well, the main thing is that Matey Meaty can't benefit from the stage 3 mid-boss from like getting Zahn, because she's just too weak to collect a bunch there. So you end up, so like, Gray's gonna just be bombing there, but you'd only be forced to bomb there if it was max rank with Lace otherwise. So I think he just figures you just go max rank and you just pick up that score, and you weren't gonna get the extends anyways from the stage 3 mid. So I think that's part of the reason why the max rank is used with Matey Meaty early on for score. But yeah, hopefully that made some sense, but it's kind of weird.
Yeah, Mitty's probably the most straightforward out of all the characters because she doesn't have anything particularly special about her. So it's more just about knowledge of the stages, what can be destroyed with shot, what can be destroyed with bomb, and then just working on some other techniques after that. It's a fun one to watch though, so yeah, but I'm ready.
Okay, let me just make sure my timestamp's right.
It's 4 minutes, is it?
Is it 4 minutes flat?
That's
Yeah, 4
correct.
minutes. Yep.
Okay. Let me just get through real quick. Okay. Alright, I'll count us down. 3, 2, 1, go. Alright. 3, 2, 1, go. Yeah, so I just started us off at the end of stage 1 boss because he's actually doing a lot of his rank management here. So instead, he's gonna use this opportunity to he's gonna sacrifice like doing some grazing and some of the scoring on the stage 1 boss to get all the rank built up here.
Yeah. It's always funny watching the rapid options though.
Yeah, when you use the auto here, it sounds like a squeaky chair. That's kind of funny.
Yeah, especially with Lady Mitty. Yeah. As we mentioned at the beginning, actually changing your option formation raises rank, which is why players have auto fire on it so that they can actually drive the rank up as high as possible. Because normally you don't have rank that high in stage 1. Like I said, normally. This is like an abnormal run, so this is going to be extra high once we get into stage 2, if not max. It is pretty ridiculous to see though.
Yeah, so this is ultimately going to give us stage 2 you won't see unless you're pretty much playing Matey and Meaty, where it's actually worth it to do this. Because like with Kasumi and Lace, like you have all the targets to shoot. But with I think even Shasta probably she gets some tick points from their laser, but nice. Okay, so you can't see, but
Boss exploding at the bottom.
that is good. But there's a rank bar that's included on the Xbox 360 port, but Gray already has the rank at like 90% here. Gonna have to actually max it out pretty soon.
Yeah. Means that you won't ever see your rank this high normally, but you know, score players like to do some pretty abnormal things in Think Sweets, which is why the rank is so high at the moment.
So this is notably going to get, we'll score from some things in the level, but the mid-boss is going to have, is going to be shooting more stuff.
Yeah.
And that mid-boss is worth a lot.
Yeah.
So it ends up being pretty good here.
So if I remember correctly, the first mid-boss in stage 2 has a lot more white bullets and just bullets in general, which is worth a lot. But the second mid-boss actually fires a lot more destructible bullets from its hands as well.
Yeah.
Which is used for getting Zan, if required.
Yeah, instead Gray will just have to bomb that if that happens and sacrifice the Zan. So unfortunately Matey Beatty can't really get much for Zan because she's constantly having to bomb everything.
Yeah, the
So
shot
not
is
only-
not very strong.
So you can't really use the shot to get one-ups when you're doing score play as a result, which makes this character even harder because you're not going to be getting... I think you get like 4 lives tops going into clouds.
Yeah. It's not a lot of
yeah,
lives.
because you're just getting those 2 stage 1-ups, stage 3 and stage 5.
Yep.
You're not gonna actually get any on here, but yeah, there's more black missiles being fired here, and like these mid planes are gonna have a little more health yet, so Gray has to adjust to that.
You also have to watch out for the helicopters, the little snipey ones as well, because they like to move around in this area.
Yeah.
A lot more than usual. Max rank. There we go. Oop. Nice. Right, so first mid-boss.
This is kind of interesting. Like at max rank, instead, Gray will just only destroy one of these turrets, and is actually just content instead to absorb everything being shot like this, instead of actually paring down the boss. The rank is so high that this ends up being better.
Yeah, it's pretty dangerous with Midi to actually have like the full aggressive patterns.
Yeah, because you don't have much of a gap there to keep bombing, so it is really easy to die doing that. I think that's why he likes to destroy the one.
Yeah,
because then you actually have room right now to bomb again.
Yeah, even just destroying one gives you like a few more of the white missiles to destroy as well, so it is still worth it for Midi to do that, while being a little bit safer.
Yeah, maybe it gets a little too dangerous for Gray if he destroys additional here.
Yeah,
it starts being fired too quickly, but this is a max rank play for Midi paying off here, though.
I mean, the scoring is still pretty equivalent to a lace run as well, though. 2.5.
Yeah, so this is gonna catch Midi up in the early game.
2.8. Nice.
See them.
Yeah, bye. Yeah, we always say goodbye to the stage 2 mid boss.
Yeah, even killing that boss at the bottom of the screen doesn't really give you a lot more score. So.
No.
But yeah, so now Gray is just forced to do this.
Yeah, because usually you would want to shoot these destructible bullets for Zan, but Midi's shot is so weak that it's just dangerous to even attempt it.
Yeah, it's impossible to shoot them down with their shot at this density. Which is interesting because you're just essentially just forced to play differently due to rank there.
I think the other characters are largely the same as well. I think only Lace can do it relatively safely at higher rank. Shasta, her shot doesn't pierce, and it's actually quite weak compared to a lot of the other characters as well. Kasumi, of course, she does have the missiles, but there's a delay between them.
Lace can kind of survive it, but the rest, not really that well.
Yeah, definitely not well. That was interesting. 3.1 though, that's really good pace for Midi.
Yeah, I know. I was surprised too at how much more score the early max rank play, but it's also going to have a huge effect on this boss, which is the other reason why I wanted to show this footage. We'll go through this first phase, but the second phase is going to be max rank, and it changes quite a bit, which is pretty cool, because only if you're mad would you be raising rank this much.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like very specifically doing scoring, I think.
I mean, even the white discs, there's way more of them than usual at maximum rank here. So just sitting right in the middle is actually quite safe for this. Because if you sit to the side and you're not sure where the gaps are, well, you're dead, basically. Depending on how low on the screen she is.
Yeah, get a little bit of graze there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we mentioned it before, but in phase 2, it's gonna commonly use the middle pod or the back lasers, the quad lasers, 2 times in a row. Whereas it would only do that rarely at the rank that we have it with Lace.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy. A lot of the runs I've seen Gray do, he actually does fail on this boss because it's just really crazy. But the nice thing is it is actually, I think, more of those back UFOs that end up getting spawned.
Yeah, so it does actually balance the score up
if it's higher rank.
Yeah,
but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think you do get a lot more enemies depending on how high the rank is. So those discs do count. So it probably does balance out his scoring, the lack of his scoring potential rather, by actually giving him more of those types of enemies for this boss.
Oh, and that middle pod, the bullets will be a little more dense, and you're going to be bombing that anyways. So actually get 80k to or rather not 80, but 8 to 10k per bomb on the middle pod bullets, which we'll see phase 2 starting now.
Here we go. Ooh.
And since they're pretty durable with max rank, a lot of the score is actually going to come from doing that.
Yeah.
There it goes with the double laser. Like, that's really just rare otherwise.
Double pods.
Yeah, the unfortunate thing about this run, though, is like, since you can't get those on extends, you really can't make as many mistakes as if you can with the other characters. So it's really easy to make a mistake somewhere, but Cloud is so brutal that you really do need like at least 1 or 2 lives.
Yeah, that's why Lace is generally one of the better better characters to start with, because you can actually get quite a lot of lives in her run if you plan them out correctly.
Yeah, I'm getting maxed out with Kasumi as well. She ends up getting a ton during the stage 3 mid too.
Yeah, it's a lot of planning involved to get all the different extends. Some characters will have it a lot easier than others. I don't see Shasta being played that often though. Like she's not the greatest character, unfortunately. She's actually more frequently used in harder and extended than normal runs. Yeah, because the Rose Cracker is basically that line which covers the entire length of the screen. So you can actually use it to cover bullet origins like immediately. And she's used for like more in a survival context than a scoring context, which is why she works so well on those 2 modes compared to just normal score play. I mean, there are some crazy people who do play it for score, but yeah, you don't see it nearly as often as Lace, and certainly not nearly as often as Kasumi.
Well, yeah, the character variety is nice because, yeah, Shasta's bomb is a vertical bar across the screen.
Yeah.
So you also have a completely unique bomb dynamic. But you have, like, a laser-type character, but the lasers don't pierce, is basically Shasta.
Yeah. Yeah, her weapon set is, like, kind of funky, unfortunately. She's not the easiest thing to use.
So that's pretty much all I wanted to show with Matey and Meaty there. It's just a lot of bombing here we will end up seeing, but...
Yeah, it's fun to watch actually. Like I said, at max rank, the dynamics of all the characters change completely and you have to learn different strats. So it's nice to see some of the other characters getting some runtime as well.
Yeah, it is, and I like playing as the other characters. I've been enjoying playing as Kasumi, and I will eventually like to check out Shasta as well, because it's just, you have the different bomb and stuff. That's nice.
Have you tried Score Attack yet?
Not much, no.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, because Score Attack is something kind of interesting. I think the records are like 10 million or something like that. Or something like that on the PCB like a long time ago. That was always
really good Score Attack run. It's pretty wild, really.
Yeah, it is. It's fun mode actually.
Actually, kind of would have been nice to include, but the stage is so long and everything.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, for those that aren't aware, there is a Score Attack mode in this. You play stage 6, and I think you start with like, is it 3 minutes or something like that? But for every million points you get 1 minute added to your time. So it's more of a combination of score/time attack. You're trying to score as much as possible to extend the amount of time that you get. But some of the really high scores that we've seen on the Xbox 360 are in the 6 million range. But I believe the PCB, like way back when it was released, had scores in the like 9 to 10 million range, which is kind of ridiculous. And like I said, for the longest time, we never really understood how that score was achieved up until I think a few years ago when Plasmo was over in Japan. And he was like watching somebody, playing Pink Sweets. And he discovered that there's a lot of grazing involved, like specifically laser grazing, which is then when we started to actually clue into the fact that, yeah, there's actually probably other scoring tricks outside of what we currently thought were available. And that's when everything started to develop. But yeah, like I said, for the longest time, we never knew how that those score attack scores were actually gained. So we were like sitting in the 4 to 5 million ranges, and not really understanding it. And it's only up until recently that we started to actually figure out a lot of the more esoteric tricks in this game, which is nice though. It's nice that we've actually got that information available now, and hopefully more people will actually take it on.
Yeah, I seem to recall I think you did a special demonstration too where Plasmo had a score tackle because I'm looking at it right now and it looks like there's a timer that starts at 5 minutes and counts
5 minutes.
down.
Yep. So
And then
5 minutes.
yeah, but that would also be a good resource too, I think, for anyone who wants to check out like
Yes.
just
Yeah.
score attack stuff because I think he actually does once you see that.
Yeah, that was actually the first clear of the Xbox 360 mode we've ever actually managed to do. Like either in Japan or outside of, like at full rank rather, not like the low rank that we've seen like on some cases with like, Kasumi or other characters. That was like the first like high scoring maximum rank all clear that we've seen on the leaderboards.
Right.
So it was nice to actually get that like from Plasmo and actually have those replays available as special demonstrations. But of course, Aquas has gone and destroyed the entire game. So if you want a good resource for the rest of the game, just watch Aquas play it.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, so
there's still a bunch. There's still a lot of score from like a better run in this game, but yeah, we're starting to see the blueprints of kind of how you're supposed to optimize this game, which is pretty cool.
yeah,
Still a
it's
lot to
pretty
discover.
cool. Yeah, it's nice to actually see you and Plasma actually working so hard on it because, as I said before, for the longest time, not many people actually were playing this game at a high level, and we didn't really understand that much about it. And it's only once you and Plasma actually started to get the information from your own sessions and from various places like EG in Japan that we started to figure out this game. And it's nice that it's in a state now where we can say, here's all the information. You've got something to learn. Which is good.
For sure.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah.
I had one more thing for us to look at. I just wanted to see. I just wanted to show from your Pearls video that I linked, the Shasta 18.9 million. If you guys could go to 2417 in that video. We're just gonna watch him do one of the boss timeouts because Infinite Life. It's kind of what Infinite Lives is all about. Is dying intentionally during the boss timeouts instead of doing it
Okay.
regular. So 2417.
Yep, I'm ready.
Okay, I'll count us down. 3, 2, 1, go.
Stage 4, mid boss. Yeah, so this is Shasta. Yeah, this is Shasta, as we mentioned a little bit before. She's got the Rose Cracker, which basically drops a giant laser line, like all the way up the length of the screen. Outside of that, her defense is like terrible. So she's not the easiest character to use. But in terms of survival, she's actually pretty interesting because you use that bomb in a defensive context for like harder and extended modes. You see her used a lot more for those two modes, simply because you can block the entire screen off just by dropping your Rose Cracker in one place and then moving away from the bullet origins like he's doing here.
Yeah, and then like, in Infinite Lives, you're constantly lowering rank because at some points you want to die a bunch, but he's bringing it up here because he wants his timeout attack to be as lucrative as possible. But basically, going to see with the Infinite Lives activated, which by the way, you just have to collect your 6th life. That was pretty.
Yeah, no, that was intentional. That's interesting because when you die with a Rose Cracker fully charged, you actually deploy the Rose Cracker as you're dying.
Yeah,
that actually helps. That actually helps a little bit in order to get the points here, so you don't lose them. Boss is still timing.
So here is like he's absorbing bullets with the shield, but also grazing. So you're getting multiple sources of points there. Wow. And then now he's killed the boss finally, and he's gonna do that. Bullet absorb graze again, and that's going to be actually more points than it would be just to hover over the source of origin.
Right.
So you can actually do this in a normal run, but you're spending an extra life to get probably an extra like 80K or something.
Oh,
yeah.
Yeah.
there we go. It's pretty
Maybe
ridiculous,
100K.
the scoring. That was nice, though. That was actually quite nice. I'm
That's
not
like
sure if
one-
you've got on.
yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm not sure if you've actually got on stream as well, but this is actually the MAME overlay.
Oh yeah,
that
well,
we're looking at.
I'll show you the whole name overlay. But it's pretty dang nice. And
Yeah.
we'll include a link to where you can get that and stuff.
Yeah,
YouTube
it's
did, but I love the
a good
overlay.
it's a good little learning tool, like for players, because it's basically the M2 gadgets just made from MAME and Pink Sweets. Which is really nice, actually. There's a couple of these available for a
Right.
variety of different games.
Yeah, the best
So
thing
shout
is
out.
the enemy HP and the boss timers. That's really what allowed us to
Yeah,
get a lot of the score mapped out.
yeah. Because we've seen a couple of them so far. We've got one for Garaga and we've got one for Batrider. Ibara as well, I think, is another one.
There's also Great Maho I saw this in very recently.
Yeah, and Great Maho as well, which is really cool. I need to check that out, actually.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah, it's nice to have, actually. It's really cool that MAME actually has the ability to create these kinds of overlays and hook it into the watch points for the different statistics that the game spits out. So it's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, you get that rank bar and the Zon, which
Yeah.
nice to see how much the Zon's being affected.
Yeah.
All the stuff you'd want, basically. So pretty cool.
Yeah, exactly.
Made by
Really,
Olafante with the graphics by Bath. So yeah, shouts to them
Yeah.
for sure.
Much love to those two guys for creating this. It's really cool. Nice little resource for everybody as well.
Game does run pretty good in MAME, I think. I use it to practice, so yeah, definitely be worth checking out with the overlay too.
Yeah, I think you actually want to use the more recent MAME because they've
Yeah.
actually updated the way that the emulation works to emulate the slowdown correctly now, rather than using the hacky version.
Yeah.
By changing Blitter, I think it is. Like previously, they actually have it emulated properly now.
It's better.
So it's a
I
lot
think
nicer.
it's a little bit better, yeah.
Yeah, it's a lot more and a lot nicer to play now. So there is that option for a lot of players if you don't have access to the Japanese 360 or the PCB. Not many of us have the PCB, unfortunately.
Yeah, so yeah, anyway, it's a pretty great game. I really do think it's a nice game for anybody to play because the mechanics, like, you just get so much power with the bombs, and those mechanics are fun. And then it's just like the boss fights, I think, are really fun to learn because you're forced to kind of understand the game, which is playing the offense defense style. I really think it's pretty cool, and I do know that Yago wanted to make this game more approachable than Ibara, for example.
Yeah,
so I think
it is quite funny
I
that.
think he gave some good mechanics just to get people in the door, but
Yeah,
of course he made a pretty crazy game for score, which we're finding out.
it
It's just
tracks
absurdly
anyway.
difficult, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean it tracks as well though, because Yagawa did say let's make this approachable, but making the game like insane for score is exactly what he would do. So that doesn't surprise me at all. But yeah, like Aquas says, it's actually really good fun to play, and it's really, really enjoyable to learn. And there's quite a lot of resources now. So if there's people who are out there who want to actually pick this up, you can ask myself, Aquas, Plasmo, for hints and tips or just general resources. Always there to help. Always nice to see new players.
Yeah, for sure, and yeah, really glad we could do the episode. Yeah, of course, episode 200. Yeah, finally hit the 200, so that's cool.
Yeah, let's go.
Yay!
So, yeah.
200. Happy 200th birthday.
Exactly. The 200th. So that's pretty fun, and of course, a cave game is definitely an adequate game for the episode number. So
Oh yeah.
they tend to be some of the best ones, even if this is pretty well. It goes with what we were saying before, but the mechanics really do make this probably the most unique cave game. So I think it's worth playing for that reason alone.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. I mean, there's so much about this game that it's just fun to experience. I mean, even if you don't play it seriously, just give it a shot and see if you like it.
Yep. Yep. So thanks guys for coming on, and yeah, I think we'll just leave it off there. It's been crazy talking about pink sweets, but got to wrap it up at some point. It's been a while here. So yeah.
Yep.
Thanks
No
everybody for
problem.
watching the show, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
See you next game.
Bye.
Okay.